The makerspace was closed today, so we are in here.
Yeah.
On that note, hello. Welcome to Hyperfixation episode 9? 9.
9.
Yeah.
Episode 9.
We're almost to double digits.
Almost. I think.
Big 1-0 tomorrow. Goddamn. Next week, I mean.
Maybe we'll get to 9 double digits before we call it.
Yeah.
With you going to at least call it in person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'll be leaving on the 20th. So.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'll be leaving for Japan on the 25th of January. So we got some time.
Yeah, I think we can do one in January at least.
Yeah. I could always pop on via my computer while I'm on the island.
Yeah, exactly. What exactly are you doing over there?
I'm going to grandparents for Christmas, and then after Christmas, I'm heading to Campbell River to do New Year's with the friends.
Fun.
Oh, shit.
All right. With that, though, we are live, so we will focus on that for the moment instead of doxing ourselves too aggressively.
Small talk.
If somebody wants to find me that badly, holy crap.
I mean, we do tell them that we are True Sue Gaming. They know where we are. It's not a big deal, realistically.
Literally, any of you could come find us right now.
We are in the gray room. If you want to come over here and throw shit at us.
Just come through by the window and just make faces at
just
us.
wave at us. We'll try our best.
If we get 10 subscribers, I will leak my address.
All right, but yeah, we're doing comics and more. So comics, graphic novels, manga, anything that had a primary picture focus and was in a
go the fuck to sleep.
Told stories. I guess technically children's books, if you want to include that.
Anything
go
that
that
your mom and your grandma say isn't real books.
Yeah,
Should not
exactly.
be reading
That's
that
not a
trash.
real book. One thing I'm going to notice is a flaw here is I'm going to have to reach real far to type here, so it might look a little silly. That's okay. But yeah,
You got those orangutan arms, goddamn.
yeah, basic introduction we always do. So I'm Gavin. I'm a third-year computer science student.
Yep. I'm Branden. I currently am a Finnish TESOL student.
Hi, I'm Tyler. I'm a second-year geography student.
There we go.
Possibly becoming an education student after I figure out an appointment.
Do it up.
Yeah, nice.
All right, so I'm going to sneeze in about a second here, but go ahead and start talking.
All right. So,
Yeah. So, comics is the name of the game this time around, and I believe earlier we were talking about before we started recording the Sonic comics, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, like the Sonic comics, recently, like they kind of had like a bit of a controversy because of a certain individual in charge of the writing.
God, recently, I feel like that was ages ago now.
I don't know. I mean, like
This is the reboot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so. Oh, hey, there it is. That was the one. When I was going to talk about like covers for Sonic comics, I was going to be like, we have to look at that one. The one where they had like
Haunting ass cover.
2 kids isekai'd into the Sonic world because Sonic like drags them into the TV. Oh, that was a time.
So good though.
Goddamn.
Oh yeah, no, the Sonic comics, like, again, like from the goofy beginnings of like the first Sonic games where they're just like, we got Tails, we got Robotnik, let's make some silly shit and add some more characters so we can actually have like, you know, dialogues.
Yeah.
To where they ended up with like an actually like overarching like fleshed out world narrative. It was honestly, I loved it, and I am very sad the way it went, but it sounds like the new comic is really good, which I have not read, and I plan to. God, I remember this one, Mecha Madness.
Oh my
Where
god.
basically Sonic gets turned into a robot by Eggman, and he's basically forced to start attacking all his friends.
Oh, what the hell?
And then Knuckles turns himself into a robot so that he can fight him on par.
Okay.
It was... Again, this comic was nuts.
But how did they get unrobotified? Like, did they just stay robots?
Well, because basically Eggman or Robotnik had a machine to turn people into robots.
Yeah.
Right.
And they spent a lot of their time trying to figure out how to make a de-roboticized.
There was a whole plot around it because
okay.
Sonic's uncle becomes a robot, and like that's his motivation for half the series. is that
So
he wants
many
to
people's
de-robot
families
that
became
boy.
robots.
Yeah. I do like this idea here, the Sonic Boom
Sonic
comic,
Boom, yeah.
because Sonic... the game is bad.
Oh, the game's super bad.
But the
It's
show
funny.
is immaculate. If
Yeah.
you've watched any like the Vine or the
Oh, yeah.
video compilations,
I haven't
Funny,
actually seen any episodes. but
Knuckles
everybody
in that
knows.
show is such a riot.
he's such a dumb himbo, and I love it.
I hate it because like I am kind of over like, you know, the dumb himbo
I'm not.
thing,
I
but
live for it.
they also give him such good lines every now and then that makes up for it.
Yeah. I love himbos. So on the note of comics, and the reason we're actually talking about this episode, you chose comics arbitrarily because of the new Black Panther movie.
Yes.
On the note of himbos and comics, in Black Adam, they took Adam Smasher and they made him the dumbest himbo I've ever seen.
Really?
And it was the best part of that movie.
Okay, I still haven't seen that one.
I loved it so much. She was so stupid. It was great.
I'll have to check that.
Do you want to do a quick aside on Black Panther Forever while you've...
Really good. Like, honestly, I still think I preferred the first one, but I think the things they tackled in it, especially in terms of like grief and like kind of working through it, and like Black Panther's sister Shuri getting like through that, but also going through that whole like, I'm just gonna burn the world at this point.
Yeah.
And it was such a good movie, and it definitely got me in the feels more than a few times.
The fact that the whole movie, or at least like a large chunk of the plot, is functionally just like an acknowledgement or a mourning of Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah,
like, it's really nice.
I love that, and I love they had that moment of silence at the beginning.
Well, for me, was really good. I know a lot of people want to do more of like an overt asshole, but I like this like sneaky asshole aspect that he's got going, because like at first he's like, we're gonna make peace, and then like. I don't know. I enjoy it because it feels more like that's how a diplomat would actually act if they are trying to get what they want. Like that's two-faced, like how the American government would be.
It's kind of true. I did feel like it was a bit like ham-fisted the way they had him kind of like turn into a heel, because it was like they made him like
always a heel.
But the thing is, like
they
made him like extremely sympathetic, where it's like he wants to protect his people, but he's also so willing to get into it and put everything at risk. And I was like, it felt a little.
The moment he shows up, like the moment you actually hear like current dialogue with him and Shuri and the mom and stuff like that, he says he'll straight up fucking kill them. Like he's like, do what I say or die.
I don't know. It did just feel just like he was just all way too eager to do the killing part rather than like find anher solution.
I feel like that's
for somebody who's. The thing, and maybe that is what they were trying to say. It seemed like for somebody who is centuries old, should be really smart, really wise, should it not be so easily like?
I mean, in the comics, it's
decision.
even more obvious about wanting to just murder people.
It's just
because, like in the comics, you know how
I literally know nothing about it.
Slight spoiler for for Multiverse of Madness, actually.
Oh.
Slight spoiler for that. You have.
Yeah.
So you know the part where how they have the convergence, and they're talking about how planets crashing into planets and shit like that, and how Doctor Strange, at first the full Illuminati, is pretty comfortable with just blowing up other worlds.
Right, they're cool with it.
And how heinous that is. In the comics, most of the Illuminati are pretty opposed, and like when the moment comes to press that button, they're all hesitating. And Namor just walks up and he's like, "Fuck this, fuck everything you stand for." Like, he does not hesitate to murder anyone if it benefits him. There's a DC movie where Atlantis and the Mascara are at like war in Flashpoint, I think. In that exact movie, the attitude that they give Aquaman in that one of like, I will do whatever it takes to protect my people, that is very much Namor in the comics. The biggest difference between Namor in this and Namor in that is Namor is a confirmed mutant in the comics. Right? He's overtly a mutant, although they do, not really a spoiler, they leave that open. Right? Like,
there's no confirmed or denying it.
Not really. I think they use the word mutation, but they've used that in several other places as well, and that doesn't necessarily mean that like
are you saying like
MCU mutants
in the
are
movie?
Well,
no, in the movie he said he was a mutant.
They say mutation. I just want to mean like they're not confirming X gene, X.
Well, okay, it's fair enough.
That's what he is in the comics.
It's vague enough to the point where
because he did say he was a mutant.
Yes, they say he has like a mutation, and that's the feed and all that stuff.
Well, I'm just saying that he used the word mutant
for sure,
not mutation. So
I think both get used when other people
for
refer
sure.
it.
But like the whole mutant gene X and whatnot.
I don't know.
Obviously, that's not stated.
But I think they left it open so that
considering
they could.
It's a Marvel movie,
they haven't done anything with the X-Men yet, though, right? So, do they want Namor to be the official first mutant in that X-gene style? Who knows?
Who knows?
Either way, it's still spectacular that Marvel built this fucking spectacular MCU out of they're scraps functionally.
Pretty much, yeah.
Because they sold off all their darlings. Like, that was a big thing, was Marvel, when they were going bankrupt, they sold off all of their darlings so that they didn't go bankrupt. And then they just took what they had left and like, well, these characters are pretty cool. We'll use what we have, right? They sold off Spider-Man. They sold off Hulk. They sold off...
Iron Man?
No, not Iron Man.
Oh, not
they sold off the X-Men.
Yeah, X-Men.
They sold off... Because who else did they sell? Blade. They sold off Blade.
That's right. Yeah.
There's a big, silly...
Wasn't there also a Daredevil movie, like in the late 90s, too?
There's been a couple Daredevil movies, and then there was the Daredevil show.
Here, there's an image here. There it is. Beautiful. This image is really funny to me. This is a visual guide to the Marvel movies of like who owns what. So if we scroll down, come on, scroll down.
Deadpool 3.
I'm pretty excited.
I'm looking forward to it. I know a lot of people are kind of like who find Deadpool to just be like a bit too much, but I'm like, yeah, I love the goofy bullshit.
Yeah, I'll take it. Ryan Reynolds in any role is
that
a
too.
massive thing for me.
I mean,
so
that is still one of my absolute favorite stories. Is how he was just so disappointed with his role as Deadpool in
the other one. In Wolverine Origins.
Yeah.
That he was just like, nah, man, I'm gonna fund a Deadpool movie.
I think he didn't even speak in that one, right? Like he was just like some...
No, but he as Wade Wilson, and when he was Wade Wilson, it was perfect.
Yeah, he was good.
But when he came back as Weapon X or whatever,
they covered
his mouth.
Right? They sewed it shut.
Yeah, and it was like, you know what? I kind of get what they're going for, but it's also just like, man, you just fucking ruined Deadpool.
It's one of those things where it's like it ruins the entire point of the character. Like his gimmick isn't the regeneration. His gimmick is that he talks a fucking lot.
He's insane.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you can see here they sold off Namor. That came back pretty quickly. They sold off Man-Thing. That never came into fruition as well. Same with Namor, obviously. Both those went back. Yeah. Sony is still ownership of Spider-Man and Venom, obviously, as well as other Spider-Man origin villains. 20th Century Fox, as you can see, they had Fantastic Four and X-Men, functionally. Those are the main two groups, right? So like they sold off Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, X-Men. Those three were the biggest things for Marvel at the time, right? Yeah. And then they were left with all these other ones. Obviously, they've been doing good work with it, right?
They did a great job.
You're right. They made a Blade movie. They made Ghost Rider. They made Daredevil. Those back in like the early 2000s.
Those Ghost Rider movies. Nick Cage.
Laugh. And the Electro movie. I think
that one was sad.
The Electro movie might be the worst movie.
It's pretty up there.
It's so dull.
I've heard of it. Goddamn.
Cloak and Dagger has a TV show.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's not part of the MCU, so it doesn't really matter. There's also like an X-Men TV show called Gifted that was around. Also Legion, but that one's actually good.
What? I can't remember. I remember there was some horror movie-esque MCU movie that was coming out.
Not MCU.
Well, it's not MCU, but it's a Marvel comic-based one.
So that was
based on mutants and
New Mutants.
New Mutants. Okay.
That came out 2 years ago.
Has it really been that long? I never did watch it.
It's fine. It's mid. That one has Anna Taylor-Thompson as Magic. She was pretty good in it. That's technically the sibling of Colossus.
Oh, really?
And she's a pretty powerful magic user. Usually that would probably have like Shadowcat in it, but it didn't. It was weird. It had a few characters that weren't super relevant.
I was excited about the idea because I was like, I love the idea of a horror movie where it's just a bunch of kids who have their mutant powers and they've obviously been locked away in this asylum. So yeah, we're just gonna go ham on everybody who's locked us up.
I thought that was it was fine. It's worth a watch at least once. I would say that a better version of a similar idea would be the special Werewolf.
Yes,
Werewolf was fun.
I remember that.
That was good.
I liked Werewolf. It was very pretty
fun.
too. The cinematography of it was very nice.
Well done.
But yeah, no.
What exactly is Power Pack?
The Power Pack are a bunch of kids.
Oh, nice.
Don't think about it.
They're just
they don't matter.
Shazam?
Just a bunch of kids.
Or no,
Kazam?
they
Wait, is it
stay
Shazam
kids.
or Kazam?
Shazam is the one you're thinking of. But
Okay.
no, the Power Pack is literally just kids, and they are
I think
not.
Kazam is the
Shaq,
movie,
yeah.
It's like
This is the Power Pack.
The superhero. It's amazing.
They are
Okay.
actual
That anime
kids.
is fuck.
They are actual kids. Straight up kids.
Yo, Wolverine using child soldiers? Come on now, man.
I think they're weather themed, maybe.
Wolverine has just been made into like the mentor character,
Yeah,
despite how
much,
much
yeah.
he shouldn't be in a lot of ways.
Like, dude.
It's because he's disgruntled about it, but he's got like a heart of gold under there.
Yeah, I know, but he's got so many of his own issues. It's like, no.
I don't know if I trust my kid with this, man.
I was like, I know you're a good guy, and I will trust you to do the right thing,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
also I don't know if I want you actually having an influence on my child's mind.
Yeah. So 4 kids, they're all siblings. First set of heroes that focused on like child heroes, like young kid heroes, like small teens. Let's see. There was an alien there that transferred one of his
White.
force. So there's an alien with a bunch of powers, and he gave one to each of the kids.
Right.
Wow,
Wow, that started in '84. Holy shit.
it focuses on morality and stuff like it talks about child abuse, homelessness, drug abuse, bullying, and ethics. That sounds sad.
That's pretty '80s, yeah.
Yeah,
It's basically like, hey, kids, you can relate to these kids, right? Let's also like throw these morals at
yeah,
you.
it feels very much like Sesame Street talking about like sad things that way.
Yeah.
There's their powers. You can see here. One's got gravity powers. One's got acceleration, speed, stuff like that.
Precognition, goddamn.
One's got weight powers, so we can decrease and make weight faster. And one's got like
I
energy
do
stuff.
Like that, yeah.
There you go. Franklin Richards is an honorary member. That's funny
Why is he an honorary member?
because he's not one of the 4.
Oh, okay. What's he from?
I mean, that's Reed Richards' child, I believe.
Oh.
And not the child that eventually becomes that goes on to become way down Reed's line. Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic. His line is where King is from. If I remember correctly, I could be wrong on this, but the real name of King is Richards.
Richards. Oh shit.
Yeah, so like King the Conqueror, the
King
guy
the
coming up in
Conqueror.
the new. There it is.
So he is a Richards member family. Huh?
Yeah, which means likely
Interesting.
Dennis
Mr.
Daniel
Fantastic
Richards.
in the MCU is going to be African American.
Oh shit.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, because you've seen King already in the MCU.
Yeah.
We saw him as
Loki, right?
in Loki. Yeah, you
Yeah.
see him in Loki, and then he's also been in the trailers a bunch for Quantumania.
Honestly, at this point, it'd probably be better for them to just like add the Fantastic Four, or at least a member or two, into just the MCU, because the Fantastic Four movies are cursed.
I think-
Everyone does such a bad job.
Yeah,
Like the Hulk movies, until like Hulk in the MCU, because all the individual Hulk movies were not good.
Yeah. I also feel like Hulk is just one of those things where it's really easy to pitch to somebody.
Yeah.
Like it's like a very simple movie to make.
It's Jekyll and
A lot
Hyde.
of people made their tries, right? Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I'm pretty excited to see because we do have an MCU one, and the MCU's quality control is still pretty solid. Even the ones where people are like,
Yeah.
"Ooh, I'm not." They're like, "I'm slightly less contrarian because I hate this one." For
Yeah.
example, like a lot of people didn't like Thor: Love and Thunder. Still good.
Yeah, most of them are like, it's like people will say like it's mediocre, not it's bad, right? Like people
Yeah.
Which
will
is
be
still
like,
a reach because like
Yeah.
all of these, the worst you can say is it's mid because every
Exactly.
single
Yeah.
MCU movie has been consistent. Even the Dark Elves one is still
The Thor one?
watchable. Yeah, Thor 2.
Yeah,
Still
honestly,
fun.
My take, this is like kind of a contrarian take. I think that was the best Thor movie. Like you guys are allowed to hit me.
You think
guys
that's
are
better
allowed
than
to
Thor
strike me.
1 and 3 and 4?
Yeah, it's definitely better than 1.
Okay.
I haven't seen 4.
Okay.
One
I
was
think it's slightly better than 3, but I do know it's like a matter of.
That is a very
I-
interesting take. I think it's just because I like
one
Taika
was
Waititi.
really good until like
The
the
ending.
part where he's on Earth, and it just became like
Uh-huh.
absolutely cliche, like fish out of water.
Yeah,
just
a little
It's
bit.
like-
I
I felt
think
like
it's
the
still
Sonic
fun.
movie, you
It's
know?
still
But
fun.
it's just been done too many times, and it wasn't done in that great of a way.
Yeah.
It was just like, this is basically anything I've seen before, and I was really disappointed because I was having so much fun up until that point.
Right.
I will say out of the original MCU, like Phase 1,
Yeah.
comfortably, I can say that like the weakest 3 are probably Iron Man 2, Hulk, and Thor. Those
Yeah,
are the
agreed.
weakest ones.
Yeah,
'Cause,
absolutely.
Like Captain America's super good. Like I love First Avenger. It's so fun. And then like Iron Man 1 was really good too, and I think
Yeah.
that was really it.
That was a really good
Those,
start.
those 5 movies, I think it goes like Captain America, then Iron Man for me, and then it's like Thor, Hulk. What was the one am I missing?
And in terms of like the original
Yeah,
storyline, yeah.
Okay, there's Thor, Captain America, Hulk, Iron Man, and was there another?
I feel like there was. Maybe not.
The
I'm trying to-
Avengers?
Oh no,
I
it's
guess?
because there was Iron Man 2.
Oh,
Iron Man 2 is still
I was
pretty
gonna
good.
say, I mean, Spider-Man came out before that.
No, Iron Man 2 is. I think the weakest one is Hulk, and then I think Thor's there, and then I feel all of them.
That's fair.
But like,
Yeah.
even so, I have gone back and I've rewatched all of them, and they're still completely watchable.
Yeah, especially even Hulk, which is like
Yeah,
one of the worst
Hulk
ones.
is more watchable than the Ang Lee one for sure. Although
Yeah.
I do like the editing on the Ang Lee one from like a this is funny perspective
Oh god, it was such a mess.
because it's chaos incarnate.
It's so bad.
Oh, it's so they got all these sides right, and they really like try to bring the comic book into it. And then like all of the MCU movies, every single one is going to be better than say Blade 3. As much as I love that movie because Ryan Reynolds is in it and it's very funny. Her teeth is in another spot. Her vagina.
I think it's one of those
So
things.
bad. Oh,
I love
God.
it. It's so. I eat at the table of Ryan Reynolds fandom.
Well, yeah. The big thing for me is just like there's like just to me certain ones are just boring, more boring than other ones.
Yeah.
So like Thor 2, I don't remember it at all. Like
That's
I
fair.
just
The Asgard
the
stuff
same
was
with
pretty.
2.
The Asgard stuff was very pretty.
I mean,
But you're
it's
right.
just
I
those
think
two.
you're right. Iron Man 2 is fairly dull.
Yeah.
Thor 2 is fairly dull. I do think Iron Man 3, as much as a lot of people didn't like it, I love that movie. It's so fun. Having him, the only complaint I have is that I almost wish that they called it Stark Iron Man 3, for example. Like they titled it Stark because it's more about him as a person than him as the suit, right?
I actually have a confession. I've never seen Iron Man 3.
Really?
It's one of the few in the MCU. Like,
Tis the season, dude.
universe. Shit, I guess so.
It's a
yeah.
Christmas movie. Well,
It is?
it's set in the winter, and the director of
That's
it,
close enough, yeah.
the director of it is also one who's like notorious for using Christmas as a background for his show.
Oh shit! Okay, well you know if it's a Christmas
He
movie,
did like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and shit, right? Like, that director's really good at like fun
right?
dialogue and
That's
stuff
fair.
in a very different way than the MCU quip stuff is.
Yeah, that is one thing about the MCU that like I do think like maybe it's like my least favorite part because like I feel like the MCU like just gotten to the point where it's like the quips were fun until like every movie has to have them. But I think my real gripe with the quips isn't actually the quips themselves. It's just that now every single movie trailer has the need to include at least 2 quips because the MCU has made it mandatory.
Yeah, the trailers aren't usually great, and I do agree. Like the formula has kind of gotten old.
But that's the nice thing about Phase 4 is I do think Phase 4 was really throw it at the wall and see what sticks.
Pretty much, yeah. Like
It's like there's
Well, I
not
mean-
an overarching theme to this phase. There's not like a huge
it's experimental.
Yeah, absolutely. With
But
the
I-
TV shows and everything
they-
else, and then also COVID fucked everything up.
Well,
Pretty
yeah,
much, yeah.
but they do still like include certain things. Like in Wakanda Forever, you can still get those like, okay, this is a Marvel MCU moment, like
Wasn't-
between Shuri and
Riri.
when they're at the car and they're like, just like, this is my eyeliner, and it's like I can be subtle, and then it's like, what's wrong? It's like it's my
not
eyeliner. And I
Riri,
was like, no,
the member of the guard.
yeah, I can't remember her name ever, even though she's one of my favorite characters.
Midnight Angel. Call her that because that's her new
that
title.
is her.
think-
But
to be
overall,
fair,
like that
Didn't
movie
disrupt from it. It felt like some friends.
It was kind of a like you had all this stuff going.
It
and
wasn't
then there
about
was
the
this
eyeliner,
moment.
by the way. It was about makeup she was using to hide all of her tattoos. It was foundation
she's
she
talking
was
about
using to hide all of her tattoos.
But
right?
it was just one of those moments where you're kind of going, and then there's like that moment, and it's just kind of like
It doesn't bother me because
it
feels
see, in that
fine.
moment it wasn't so bad. Like when they're in the room and they're like kind of like having their argument, but also but the kids just kind of like
Get the
in
fuck
the
away
background
from me.
being like, what the fuck? And like that was great. I
Yeah.
thought that was fun. But it was just that stop there. And it's like it's only because it's been years.
I'm fine
Yeah.
with it, honestly.
And it's like
If
it
ever-
doesn't bother me the same way it does other people, but I notice it.
Sure, fair enough. But the big thing is like, if that's what helps get them consistent quality movies, fuck it.
enough.
I mean, but that's the thing is just like they could have not had that and it could have been fine, or it could have been like way shorter.
Sure,
It's like it could have just been like a very like she could have looked at her and then she could have been like what and just be like nothing, I'm going.
I
like,
feel
and
like I
that
would
would've
have
been good.
missed there, but because I didn't even know at first she was talking about the makeup on her head until at the scene afterwards. Because I thought she was talking about her face makeup, and then the
Well,
scene
no,
afterwards
I
she's
don't.
cleaned
I don't.
off, and I was
the thing is,
confused.
I don't think that Shuri was thinking about her face makeup. That's what she was worried about.
Yeah.
She was looking at what she was wearing.
Yeah.
She just looked down and was
Yeah.
like, mm-hmm. And I was just like, yes, I agree, Shuri.
Yeah. Either way, I do think that
Still one of a great movie. If you haven't seen it,
it is.
watch Wakanda
It's
Forever.
honestly really solid.
So good.
I actually put it above the first one because it doesn't fall off as much at the end. Because the fight
mean-
between Killmonger and
Yeah.
Black Panther looked really bad in the first movie. Like it looked really jank with the two CG models floating around. Weird, silly nonsense.
But it was still like fun. Like,
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I
but
mean, leading up to that moment, it was very
just
good too.
A lot of what they established and built with Black Panther was great. Like, it's not like it's that far below the original one, because what they managed to do and how they managed to continue the story despite.
I think Killmonger's cool, but I think that the finale between the whole finale is just better in this one.
Well, to me, just that moment between Shuri and Killmonger, that was like, that is such a good move. Like, I loved where they were going with that.
I'm glad to hear that like the climax is better in this one, because I do feel like that's maybe like where the
MCU Phase 3 problem is like a bunch of mooks. And
pretty
which,
much.
I mean,
like,
this had a bunch of mooks, but at least you knew that they weren't just like generic mooks, and there was a few like special guys who you'd met earlier, and they all had a bunch of them had names.
Yeah, and like you had the council. It was like, okay, I don't really know a lot about all the council, but I remember them from last time.
Well, I'm talking about like the finale with the.
Oh yeah,
at least two of the Atlanteans. Or they're not called Atlanteans.
No,
but
Tolkien.
Talox or whatever. Two of them, we met them earlier in the movie. You meet them again with Namor. They have like a relationship with Namor, and then all of them technically have this relationship to Namor, and Namor. Yeah. It feels just a little bit more obvious because, like, and I mean, Black Panther also didn't really have the mook issue as much because you actually did have Naora's her husband on the other side. It was Water Tribe who was on the other side of that fight, and so like the mook issue wasn't really an issue for that one specifically, but it's definitely a thing for like Infinity War with the mooks and
if you look at
not Infinity War, Endgame was the one with more mook issues.
It kind of like follows like a little like curve, where it's like at first the big problem with like MCU climaxes was like it's just like two CGI dudes slapping into each other, especially the Iron Man movies.
Yeah, I was gonna say like where it's just like the bad guy but the polar opposite, because even Black Panther has that where it's literally just like it's two people the exact same power set fighting each other, because that was like Whiplash is very much feels like that. Same with fucking God, I don't even know his name. Bald guy played by
we can't even remember his name.
Bridges from the first Iron Man.
Oh,
in the big metal suit.
I feel so bad because I love that guy.
He's a good actress. He's in Tron. He was the dad in Tron.
Yeah, he was. I forgot about that.
Yeah, with the de-aging, and it looked really bad at the time because that de-aging was not good, but it was fine because he was technically in a computer, so you're kind of like, it makes a level of sense. That's more of a simulation. The one thing, the mook thing comes into play quite a lot. Even in Iron Man 3, actually, where they've got like they're a bunch of the people in that fight are a bunch of generic mooks.
Oh my god.
No, that's definitely a big MCU thing, but it's also like it's better than some of the other issues we have, which is like. I don't know if you watched the first Suicide Squad, but the joke about the joke about that's the epitome of mooks. They're faceless and nameless and not even sentient.
I feel sad because like I did kind of enjoy, like it seemed like they had a fun idea where it's like in that one Joker and Harley Quinn are actually like semi-healthy in terms of the relationship. Like it looked like the Joker was actually, and I'm like, that's an interesting take because most of the time, and this is the canon I subscribe to, is the fact that the Joker is an abusive, manipulative person who doesn't actually give a fuck.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I was like, okay, I kind of like this angle, but it goes nowhere and it means nothing, and it's just like.
And plus, it's Jared Leto, anyways, right?
So he's not a good Joker. I don't like it.
It's just.
To be fair,
like that was the worst Joker I've ever seen.
I also really don't as much as like a lot of people are like, oh, I love the Joker movie. I'm like, I don't. I watched it. It was fine.
I guess
I would hate to see that depiction of the Joker, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, in an actual like Batman thing.
It's more like an art house movie than it is like a comic book movie. Like to tell the truth, it's not like an art house.
No, it's Taxi Driver.
Yeah, pretty much.
It literally is.
Like the Joker in the 70s or 80s Batman show was better than those ones.
What was I gonna say? I don't even remember anymore. It's more about the mooks thing. But I was saying, the beam in the sky issue and stuff like that. I don't know. It helps if you scale down the end of the worldness of it all.
Yeah, like I really love Spider-Man Homecoming because of that. Because it's not like it was a big epic thing where like Vulture like he's trying to destroy the world. Like he's literally just like
stealing
shit.
Yeah,
like that's it.
Like, and even Spider-Man 2, not the destroying the world ish as much. It's like this dude's a dick.
Yeah, he's just an asshole.
Yeah,
you know?
it's
He's just the right prick.
Just scam
he's
artist.
being super butthurt about Tony turning down his stuff.
Because Mysterio's like a little baby boy. He's a
Yeah.
little baby boy. And even in the third one,
I
realistically...
mean, I agree. Tony was an asshole.
Oh, for sure.
Which is like, you know what?
That's Tony.
If anybody kind of like deserves to have some comeuppance, it would have been Tony.
Yeah, but he's dead now, so you can't really...
Yeah, you can't really do anything. So at that point, he's just pushing his issues onto
You're just being a little
Peter,
bitch.
which
He's
is like
dead.
a dick move.
Yeah, Tony's dead. Leave it. And then the newest Spider-Man, even that one is still fairly small scale. The biggest, because you know for a fact that like the world's not ending. That's not
Well,
the
I
issue.
do love the fact that it was just like Peter was just like, I just want people to forget about me.
Yeah.
But then he just like keeps fucking it up.
Yeah.
I think I can appreciate it because like it's like his fault that it happens. Right?
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
like this big guy who's like, I will destroy the world because I am evil and that is my one wish.
Which
Yeah,
helps.
and all the bad guys are mostly just like, we just kind of want to survive.
Yeah, just want to go home.
Yeah, because they all
man.
know that when they go home they die.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
although apparently, like you see the little thing where it's like maybe they didn't, which is nice.
Yeah, which like you know
They're
what,
also not a direct tonal exact copies of the ones we know, which is good.
alternate realities.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. Multiverse.
No, I think that's the nice thing about the newest phase is that everything it's a little smaller scale. Even like the Wakanda things, it's like that's a war between two countries functionally, or. And
Well,
then-
it is kind of established at the beginning that it's kind of Wakanda against everybody.
Yes,
Because
but
it's
that's not the scale of the movie.
no, not of the movie.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's like an
but you
internal
know, but that's
In the
a
back.
overarching thing.
Yeah.
It's like
Right.
we know that's a problem.
Because like Shang-Chi, I think that's the one where it's like maybe this is a little too large scale and you should have went there, right? Because Shang-Chi is one of the ones where it's like the finale does drop. Because up to the moment where Shang-Chi is fighting his father, the moment the dragon monster thingy is released is the moment that movie loses its emphasis.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never actually seen Shang-Chi either.
It's really
It's one of
good.
the few I've-
Shang-Chi is really, really good. It's
Yeah?
probably my favorite
I need
movie
to
of
watch
the latest MCU.
I've
For sure.
heard like it's like pretty much the best. It's the cream of the crop.
There you go.
But yeah, I just as like a one more Wakanda Forever because it stuck me and I want to
Sure.
say it. I fucking love the start of that movie when the Queen is like talking to the. That was such a good moment.
The part where it's like to the French diplomat and shit.
Oh yeah, because it's just like, hey, guess what? You tried and you fucked up. Here's your boys.
Yeah, here they
was
are.
like,
We didn't kill them. We're better than you. Suck it.
And I love a good like women's power.
Yeah.
because she owns that fucking room, and then all
Every person,
scientists
yeah.
just beat the warriors beat the shit out of those guys.
It's so good. It's such a good fucking beginning.
Such a good start to the movie.
But yeah, no, I think I think definitely Shang-Chi is probably my favorite of the Phase 4.
Yeah.
Just all the build up to it, especially. The only problem is the end, and that's the point we were making of random. The problem is that if you go too wide and you add too many mooks.
Yeah.
If you keep it smaller, whenever they keep it smaller scale, it's much more.
And that
good.
and that is why Black Panther 1 was good, because it was basically just Killmonger.
Yeah.
Like he had
the River Tribe.
Yeah, but it was just like he was the antagonist, and that was like.
And I do think the finale between Namor and Shuri is better than the finale between Killmonger and the first fight with Killmonger is fucking awesome though, where they depower him and the two of them are just fighting at the waterfalls.
Yeah, that was the best part of these.
Yeah.
I think when you strip them down and everything like that.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk other comics because we just got.
Speaking
comics.
of how just like on this note, how many of us have like really read many Marvel comics?
I've read a decent amount.
Okay.
I get most of my through like Comic Drake and Comixology and a bunch of like other comic YouTube channels.
Okay.
And then lots of through Wikipedia as well. So like I have a pretty strong foundation whenever like a new thing drops. But then when Doctor Strange drops fucking whatever her name is, played by Charlize Theron, I was like, who the fuck is that?
Yeah.
I did know the one hit by Harry Styles' character, Star Fox or whatever his name was. I recognized that character because
Okay.
I knew about Thanos having a brother.
Harry Styles is in the MCU.
He's in the Eternals movie.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh man.
He's in the post-credit scene. There's one post-credit scene with the Black Ebony Blade with the voice of Mahershala Ali's Blade, and then there's one with the Fox and his little like newt dude. I'm not even a newt. He's like an imp.
Yeah.
It's like Star Fox and a little imp guy, and that like I vaguely knew about the Star Fox character, even though I don't. That's not his name. It's Fox something.
Star
But,
Fox. You make me think like, Nintendo
Fox
crossover
Star.
coming in. Holy shit.
It's Fox something, but I knew about the character as his brother, so that was funny to me. All right, but yeah, as far as like actual comics that we have read, did we finish anything on DC there? No. Every MCU movie is better than most DC movies.
Yeah.
DC
Like as an overall thing, absolutely. DC shows tend to have been like really good from what I've heard. I haven't.
You mean
really
like
had
the Arrowverse?
I honestly don't know.
I would say
that's
that-
my general thing I've heard.
I would say that all the non-MCU shows are kind of mid, but Legion is really, really good, actually.
I'll just put it this way. Like DC, when they made the Dark Knight trilogy, they sacrificed the next 10 years of their future.
They
for bad
also, the
movies.
problem with that trilogy is it's embarrassed to be a Batman series.
Well, okay, here's the thing. I think, like, as far as adaptations go, it's, like, not very faithful to, like,
It's
the
embarrassed.
tone.
It's so
But at
embarrassed.
the same time, like, I do kind of like it because, like, at least it's, like, a different take that is actually good at the same time.
Like the Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight trilogy, all
Yeah.
the way.
Okay.
They're
'cause
embarrassed to be about Batman.
I don't know. I thought they were
Oh,
like the first one was not bad. The third one was good.
Every
And then
rendition of Batman
third
we've
one-
had in movies for the last 20 years has not been about Batman. Batman does not kill. That is his thing. He does not kill. The only one that I think actually does a good job of showing off Batman is...
You want to talk about comics?
Yeah. We're finishing up here.
I think they printed it all in color there.
Oh my god, that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so for some reason they made a label maker, so they printed the labels for us, which was nice. Yeah, so we have actual sticker labels, so people can slap on their shirts.
That'll be nice.
And then I asked them to print the main booklet and then an additional set of 2 of every of the generics.
Are you guys just doing podcasting?
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
doing a podcast
Yeah.
on it.
Nice. Okay. So 2 of everything?
So 2 of all of the generics.
Okay.
So functionally, the way it works out,
Also, we would write down people's names.
hypothetically, I don't know if we have enough of the labels for that one. That I'm not sure about. You'll have to go through it all, and you'll have to make sure that we have 3 in total of every single of the 12 generic characters, and then 1 of each of the regulars. And we should have a pamphlet A. There should be a description page.
There's like envelope A and envelope B.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a description page that describes who the character is. There's a like objectives A one, and then there's an objectives B with what you know.
Right.
And then those 2 go in an envelope together, and then the other stuff goes into 1 envelope together. And you give them 1 envelope at the beginning, 1 envelope after the murder.
Right.
I haven't gone into too much depth, but it should all be there. Just let me know as soon as possible if I'm missing anything. Yeah. I would also just buy obviously like 100 envelopes from somewhere, like dollar store or something,
Yeah, okay. Sounds good.
and then start sorting
Yeah.
it that way.
Alright.
So, yeah.
Have a nice day.
Thanks, you too.
But yeah, no, DC, I feel like what I was saying about Batman was that even in the Nolanverse stuff, the Nolan trilogy, he kind of kills through an action, which is never a thing Batman would do. The line where he's like, "I don't have to, I won't kill you, but I don't have to save you." He's not Batman. That is not Batman.
I will give you this. Like, Batman is kind of like the originator of the whole dark, gritty take on the childhood story. Like, that's kind of become popular. in the
Sure,
last
absolutely.
decade.
And I mean, there is a story for Batman where he's a lot more disheveled and sad and upset, and he's willing to kill Superman.
The thing is, people have that image of Batman, but I do think like older Batman, he did originally like he would kill people. Like there is a precedent for him actually killing people.
But like the core of Batman is that he's a detective.
Well,
And-
yeah, and like to be fair, like I'm not like again the moral code where he doesn't kill people. I'm not even really that upset about. It is the thing where it's like, and that's why like that newer Batman movie was more fun because there was more actual like detective stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, so it's not just about the fact that he doesn't kill people. These are samples of the fact that like the Nolan verse was embarrassed to be about Batman, which was that like there's a part where the guys were like in hockey gear.
Yeah.
And he's like, "What makes you better than us?" He's like, "I'm not in hockey pads." It's like that's not what Batman's about. He's not flexing wealth on everyone.
I don't think it was so much the wealth part. It's just like
Maybe he
I
did.
actually can protect myself. You are wearing hockey pads against gangsters.
Maybe
The way
you
he
are
says
kind
it
of
is
fucked.
so condescending.
He's just more of a baseball guy. That's all.
Well, it's like
It's not ideal.
what you want these people to stop. You're not going to be
Sure.
polite about it.
But even in,
it's
like-
like, hey, stop going out and trying to get yourself killed.
So say I've trained for this. I've put in the time. I've put in the effort. Because like he flexes his gear over like the morality of it and
See,
the preparation
I
that he
think
as a person is
you're,
done.
you're and it's interesting because that's the message you took away from that. I'm also just thinking it's like they're just not equipped to deal with it. Like literally, what you have, you're very much you have nothing to protect you.
If the issue is gear, he could equip them though.
But that's the thing is he wouldn't want. The whole thing is it's supposed to be his burden. He's not going to want other.
I don't
people
know.
doing it.
Another prime example of them being kind of embarrassed with the Batman mythos as a whole, though, is like they never call him Robin. At the end, they give him all of this lead up to Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character.
Oh, in the third one?
Yeah.
I never did watch that one.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't actually
they do all
know.
this lead up to him functionally being Robin, and they avoid it, and they're so embarrassed about the whole thing.
Gavin, what are your thoughts on the Mr. Freeze movie?
The classic one,
Yeah.
love it.
That-
So funny,
Dude,
so
oh,
funny,
everybody hates that one, but it's fucking
hilarious.
It's like The
Freeze
Room.
Yeah, so they're.
Do you mean Batman Forever?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's like The Room of Batman.
So good.
Oh God.
Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy.
That
you got
was-
that big old Bane. You got Mr. Freeze as Arnold Schwarzenegger, and they all ham it up. It's
Okay,
phenomenal.
okay.
It's
You are getting mad
No.
about Batman flexing his armor, and then you have fucking them all bidding on Poison Ivy to take her out, and then Batman's like, whatever
Oh.
amount, and he pulls out the bad credit card.
I want to point out.
It's like,
Hey.
speaking of flexing,
Okay, I want to point out that I don't think those are a good depiction of Batman either. I just think they're fun.
I just like how mad you're getting about that. It's like, hey, this movie is like antithesis.
No. I think that the closest thing to a true depiction of Batman as a character is probably the newest one. I think that
Really?
I don't like what they did with Riddler, but I think Batman as a character of a detective, because that's his thing.
I
He's
will
the
say-
best detective. He's
I
prepared.
will say that's probably like the best detective one. I will say the original Batman movie, the first one with Tim Burton.
Yeah, that's all.
I think that one, in terms of like the character,
Yeah.
that's like
Because he gets a
one
lot
of-
more of that Playboy aspect, which is nice. 'Cause,
Yeah,
like that's the big thing. Is
Well, that's the whole thing. Like the Michael
You're
Keaton,
right,
like
yeah.
switching between those two rules. Because I mean, no one. He didn't get it because no one would believe that he was Batman. It's like, oh, that's what makes him so brilliant.
yeah, no, absolutely. I think that one is the best depiction of both sides. That's for sure.
The outfit is the worst though. This solid piece, and he just because he can't move his head.
The funniest thing is we've never had a true like Batman movie, like live action. Not one that like really got all the different parts lined up well.
Yeah.
in my opinion.
There's
parts
like
where-
different takes on Batman.
Just like
Yeah, there's a lot of the movies that like did a really good job of like at least encompassing like a certain aspect.
The problem is the early 2000s, that whole era was embarrassed to be comic books, which
Well,
is why they
because, like,
like the X-Men where they're like, what do you want me to wear? Yellow spandex? It's like,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. It's like the Deadpool thing that we mentioned earlier, right? Like they're too
Yeah,
afraid to have
it's
some
so
wacky
yeah,
character,
exactly.
right?
They're
Well,
just
yeah, and-
afraid to be what they are.
Because
and
they had the comic book movies, but like the other problem was like they kept trying to adapt, like especially after like Blade and whatnot, they kept trying to adapt all these other comic book movies, and they just like they were seen as box office death because nobody could do it well. It was horrendous.
The best trilogy of comic book movies from that era is the Blade ones because
yeah.
they're so self-isolated and all they are is literally just like fun vampire action.
Yeah, the big problem was though is like it also set a precedent for like certain things, and everyone kept trying to ape it,
Right.
and it was just, and then we just had that long period until Spider-Man. Spider-Man is I think where
Spider-Man was, like, way
2006, so
earlier,
it's
yeah.
around that same time, but it was
I think that's when it started to make the comeback,
Right.
Because
And-
the first Spider-Man movie was good.
and then the
then-
second one's solid. Second one's pretty good
And
too.
that's-
then
yeah,
the third
then we
one
started
jumps
to
the
have
shark a bit, and then the
Yeah.
Amazing Trilogy's kind of bad, but it's fun bad.
I never watched it.
I've watched all of the. I've watched
That's fair.
every comic book movie.
Every
Fair.
comic movie.
I
Yeah.
absolutely have
Like
not.
anything that came out in the last 2000.
Let's
2004.
let's just find like the most obscure ass comic book movie of all
Okay,
time. And Gavin will
DC
give us-
or Marvel. I will specify
Okay.
because I don't think I've
Um,
actually finished watching the Rocket Man movie.
Give us like the most obscure DC movie you've ever seen.
The most obscure DC one?
Yeah.
Oof, I don't even know.
Like, did you see Swamp Thing? Like, I feel like that's kind of.
I've watched the
obscure.
show, yeah.
Yeah, like the show. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
To be fair, I've watched some of the show. I haven't finished the show. I did watch all the Constantine show, and I've watched the Constantine movie as well.
Yeah.
Although the
I
Constantine
forgot that
show
was
was
the-
so good, and I'm so
didn't
mad
hear
they
it.
canceled it.
Really?
Yeah, amazing.
I've never actually heard of it.
Matt Ryan's depiction of Constantine was so good they brought him into the animated ones.
Nice.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, they brought him in
Nice.
as the voice
That's
actor.
That's good to hear. Yeah, like even if
He's
it's
really
so-
good. I'm honestly, as much as I love the Doctor, what's her name? The girl who followed, girl who ran, not the girl who waited from Doctor Who.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like we're getting Doctor Who territory now.
Yeah, that's what I'm referencing. The actress Jenna Coleman, who plays
Oh.
or whatever her name
Pond.
is. No, not Pond. Other one.
Oh. Was that not Pond?
No, Pawn waited.
Oh,
Pawn
Pond
the
was
girl who
waited. Right.
Because
You're right.
she waited like 30 years
yeah, I
for the
forget
doctor.
her name. Yeah.
The girl who followed was the one who literally like threw herself into the time stream and literally showed up in like 30 different spots in the doctor's life
Yeah,
because of it.
Do you guys this is like coming kind of like out of nowhere, but speaking on like the subject of like DC and like a lot of their old series, do you remember when they tried to like be Disney Plus that one time? Like it was around the time that Titans was coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask
Speaking
about
of
this.
that, wait.
Like, have you heard of
DC
no,
Universe?
Have you
It
seen
exists in
Titans?
Americans. I have watched the first season of Titans. I
Really?
saw
Okay.
it. wasn't good. I don't.
It wasn't good. I've actually heard like some people I've seen say like, "Oh
No.
my god, it's so good," but
No, I don't.
Not at all?
I'm not in the mood for that edgy bullshit.
right. Right.
It's not fun for me.
Yeah.
The only reason I think Titans is interesting is because I like to see some of these other characters actually go out to shit. The funniest thing is I think Teen Titans was the perfect place for the Teen Titans to sit. And then you got Teen Titans Go, which went too young. And you got Titans, which went too old.
Too old. It's like,
Or
Yeah.
not even old, too juvenile and too edgy. Whereas Titans sat in the perfect
Which is funny
spot.
because like the edgy one was like juvenile in just another way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
The best follow-up to the actual Teen Titans is Young Justice.
Young Justice.
Young Justice is phenomenal.
That's such
cool.
good. Show.
so good.
I'll check that
If
out.
you want, so the animated movies, that universe, they ended it.
Right.
The DCAU is over.
Oh, okay.
Which is why after the DCAU ended, we started getting a bunch of other like, they started doing other movies of different like, completely different art styles, a whole bunch of different things, right? So like if you got the DCAU, here it is.
Oh, Batman the Animated Series.
So-
So good.
Justice League.
Static Shock.
Oh, shit.
I forgot.
Sorry, they don't call it the DCAU. The DCAU is amazing though. This is the DCAU.
Yeah.
This is the animated movies,
Like
or
starting with
animated TV shows.
the Batman and Superman animated series were so good. Batman the Animated Series is probably, besides Gargoyles, my straight up like absolute favorite shows from when I was young.
Yeah, and it's good.
So good.
And I love Batman Beyond so much.
Yeah, Batman Beyond was. I was surprised how well that turned out, and then
Yeah.
they had the fucking the finale to it with the Joker, and it's like, ooh.
Yeah. So there was rumors, and it might be canceled now that Warner Brothers is shitting the bed and canceling random bullshit, like the Batwoman movie that they canceled after.
Oh,
finishing.
that was a
They
huge
finished
fiasco.
it. It was done.
Like, yo, just release it at that
Why?
point, right? Like,
Because
Why would you
They want the tax write-off because they don't care about year over year.
Oh.
Yeah. So I looked into it. It's not about. So they bought the company and they wanted to show that the Discovery Warner merger looked profitable.
Right.
So all they need to do is they need to bump those balance sheets, and they don't care about year over year, like actual growth.
Right.
They just want the numbers to look bigger year over year, right?
Right.
So by canceling this shit and getting the tax write-off
Motherfucker.
and weakening their future as a whole, it makes the initial merger look better. Which is also why they're killing all the other TV shows like Infinity Train. You cannot buy Infinity Train on Amazon. You
Dude,
can't.
that show was so good.
Yeah, I bought the first season on Google Play.
It's so easy to complain about how like shows are ruined by corporate bullshit, but that's like to a whole new different level.
Yeah, like corporate finagling in the show can be shitty. Don't fucking cancel
Yeah,
it. Make it
they-
less play.
yeah.
Do you know why they did that one? It's because they want to pay fucking if they cancel the show after the initial release and stuff like that, they don't need the residuals. They don't need to pay residuals. Because
It just
if they leave it on platforms where people can only buy it, you get the residual calculated in the cost of the device, the thing, right? Whereas streaming services have this very specific way of doing residuals, then they're just like,
This is like the
nah,
game.
we don't want to deal with animated residuals. It's fine.
It's the gaming industry bullshit.
Yeah,
Pretty
no,
much.
it's toxic shit.
So-
Speaking
So,
of gaming, what do you guys think is like the best
comic book
video?
game?
Yeah, comic book game. Yeah, I'm thinking like probably
Batman?
the
Arkham?
Arkham
Yeah.
Asylum, Arkham Knight. I don't know if there's like any other like really high profile ones. I really liked the Ultimate Alliance games. I don't know if you guys have played those.
I feel like it's gotta be the Markham games because, like, I'm thinking about it, and maybe the new Suicide Squad game will be really good, and that's also the last time we'll ever hear Kevin Conroy voice a Batman character.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
he finished his
no.
recording for it before he died. So,
Oh.
is it Kevin Conroy? The voice of the Batman
Oh,
who
I
died?
forgot that he died. Oh my god. Dude.
But yeah, no, it's sad.
He showed up in
Best Batman.
Yeah, he's dead now, right?
Oh, I absolutely
Yeah.
loved the.
He showed up in fucking Arrowverse.
That's
He did?
cool.
Yeah.
Just, like,
So,
popped
quick. Sorry, go ahead first, and then I'll go.
I was just gonna say I love the Mark Hamill little tribute in like the Joker voice to him dying.
Oh.
It was just this little thing I saw online, and I was just like, that's
Here it is.
I like that. That's
So
really
this
nice.
is the DC Universe animated movie lineup. So they went all the way, and then I believe you can sort of tell where it's this. See how it says DC AMU?
Mhm.
How all of these don't say that after 37?
Yeah.
So the DC AMU is so good.
Mhm.
If you ever just want to watch like DC animated movies, go watch through all that. It's
Okay.
the Justice League Dark stuff is really, really good.
And is this on like
They're movies.
release order?
Yeah, these are the release order, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Which is functionally chronological as well.
Oh, okay, that's good. That's good. I was gonna ask, like, is this like the same chronology?
I guess they did Apocalypse War as well before they full dropped it. But yeah, now they've got like Tomorrowverse, right? So they got a bunch of other like standalones and spin-offs now. So they've been doing a whole bunch of different things. And you could tell because like the art style for most of the ones changed completely. But yeah,
makes
those
sense.
ones are really good. I like most of them. The funniest thing to me in a DC animated movie though, DC Batman Ninja.
I was just about to ask about this. Like, have you guys seen
that
Batman
freaking-
Ninja?
I've seen it, yeah,
The
absolutely.
little anime movie just
It's
in
so
the middle?
freaking silly.
What a weird thing. 'Cause
Yeah.
isn't this like he get like? Is it actually like this is Batman
He has
in
to
those
feel the
times,
pain.
or is it he isekai to there? Because I feel like there's like time travel.
I believe he gets
shenanigans.
isekai'd, but I need you to understand that this movie needs to be watched to be experienced truly.
Oh, I bet.
I cannot, like, I can tell you what happens, but it won't do it justice.
I've always wanted to see
You need to
this.
watch it.
Holy
It's
shit.
so
ridiculous
phenomenal.
sounding.
Like, he goes to feudal Japan, and all of his villains are like different functional like lords and shit.
Right, isn't like Joker supposed to be like Oda Nobunaga or something like that?
It doesn't.
Shogun or
I don't even know.
something?
Penguin's in there. Two
That's
Faces in there.
ridiculous.
Gorilla Grodd is in there. Joker's
Yeah, I
in
see
there.
that.
And then, as you can see here, the Bat family's back here.
Oh shit, man.
Like-
What?
I like how
Alfred
he-
looking like Alfred.
He
No
still just has,
change.
like a Western suit, you know? Like,
To be fair, depending on what time
Yeah.
of Japan, that would actually make
yeah.
sense.
If it was like the Meiji period, then like,
Yeah,
you
that'd
definitely
be-
see
that'd
a
be
lot
on
of that,
point.
like-
But no, watch Batman Ninja. It's freaking hilarious.
God.
But yeah, best game. Definitely probably the
Arkham games,
games.
yeah. It's hard to think of
I
anything
can't
else,
think of a
yeah.
better comic book game. Maybe Spider-Man 2 on PS2. Oh, actually, the new
Actually, the
Spider-Man game. is
Spider-Man
really
games
good.
seem
Yeah,
to be
Spider-Man
really
game
good.
are up there. Yeah, like they're close.
You know what? Let's say I'm gonna say the new Spider-Man game because I really like that game.
Yeah.
I bought it and I played through the game like in a week, just nonstop.
I really liked it too. My only complaint was that like oh man, I remember like, I really liked like a lot of like the stuff near the end. How like there's so many boss battles.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like the only thing I didn't like about it is that I felt like there was like the boss battle balance was like one at the start, one in the middle, and then everything else all
I
at
mean,
the
that's
end.
fair.
Right?
But I still think the gameplay is phenomenal. Like,
Dude.
the motion and how it feels to actually like be Spider-Man is so good.
And everything with Doc Ock and Aunt May in that game is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think like everybody knows that one delivery at the very end from what's his name, Yuri Lowenthal.
That-
He might be like one of the best Spider-Man voice actors ever.
No,
which
Yuri-
is surprising because
Well, Yuri is just an amazing voice actor.
I don't know.
Yeah.
My personal favorite Spider-Man is Drake. Is fucking Drake from Drake and Josh.
oh no.
What?
Yeah, he voiced Spider-Man. In,
Don't
What?
tell me this is real. Don't
Which
tell me
one?
This is real.
Let's see here.
Drake Bell.
Spider-Man, Drake Bell. Oh my God, when did? Ugh.
Oh, I'm excited for Spider-Verse 2, though.
Boom.
I'm so
He
excited.
voiced
for that.
Spider-Man in the
2011?
Ultimate Spider-Man show,
Oh my.
which
God.
is fun. That's a fun show.
Really. Yeah.
The Ultimate Spider-Man show? Absolutely. Really fun time. It's not as much as like a Spider-Man. It's not completely a Spider-Man vehicle. A lot of it involves he's got like a little team of other teenage superheroes with him, which is fun.
Oh shit.
Yeah, you
That's
see?
kinda cool.
You got Iron Fist, you got Nova, you
It's
got...
got Squirrel Girl.
Yeah, it's got Squirrel Girl, it's got Agent Venom, which is fun. It's got Cloak and Dagger, it's got Lagoon in it, Iron Spider. It's got a really fun little cast there. It kind of loses the focus on, like, he's still the main character, but it's more of a team thing.
Gotcha.
But yes, you were saying, we talked about that. We went to, Kevin Conroy. Yes, so he was on the note of him as Batman.
Yeah.
At one point, he shows up in Crisis on Infinite Earths for the Arrowverse as a version of Batman.
Fun.
Except for it's the darkest timeline version of Batman.
Oh!
He's
Oh
got
my
like
god.
no.
this power suit and it's powered by kryptonite and shit.
Oh,
Holy shit.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
gone full like
Iron
I
Man.
murdered.
That's
Superman.
fun because he
Jump
went from
cover.
like the iconic Batman to that. That's interesting.
Yeah, he's so good in it. It's in the
Like that.
Batgirl episode, but let's see, Kevin Conroy, Arrowverse.
That's fun.
There it is. Doo. Yeah. So there it is. There you can see him in his little like
Bam.
mech suit that he's got there because he's
Punished Batman.
he's-
Goddamn.
yeah, it's like broken Batman or whatever. Yeah.
He looks so. Even like his profile shot there is like so angry. You know,
Yeah.
he's pissed.
No, he's so mad in it, and he's like,
There's all that rage simmering
Ruby.
underneath.
but yeah, no. I do think that the Arrowverse should probably be dead by now. The Flash has not
Yeah.
continued to be good.
And
And
Ezra Miller
Arrows.
was wild. And
Well, that's irrelevant to this, to the Arrowverse.
oh, I thought. Oh, right, because he's in.
Yeah,
right,
Grant
Flash,
Gustin is the Flash in the Arrowverse, and he's good. They brought in a lot of speedsters. The problem is, it's just like they bring in a new speedster villain every time for like every
Because
season.
the speedsters are like the most powerful beings.
Yeah, they just bring in a new one. They've got like Godspeed, Reverse, Flash, Doctor, Zoom.
They get him like anime up.
Yeah, it's silly. Okay, we talked DC, we talked Marvel,
We talked Sonic.
we talked Sonic a little bit there. Yeah,
What about Garfield? What's your
Yes,
stance on
I was
Garfield?
actually
No
thinking that
attachment.
You
earlier.
guys
Garfield.
hate Garfield? I hate Garfield.
Garfield's mid as fuck.
I loved it when I was younger, but I think a lot of it was like I would read it with my grandpa as well. So there's a lot of like nostalgia. But I read it like old
Yeah,
original Garfield
me
stuff,
too, yeah.
and it's very much a Simpsons thing where after so long it's just like the same jokes over and over again.
Yeah, I feel like Garfield especially, like, it's like, there's only so many times you can hear, like, yo, I hate Mondays, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like
But,
the
like-
peak of mediocrity.
But like having started with like the original comics and like going from there.
Yeah,
like-
pretty much.
But definitely like I would not be able to go back and read them now.
no,
It's one of those things where it's,
so fucking mid. I have no interest.
Yeah.
how did it last
Although,
this long, man?
I can't remember his full name, but there's a guy called Lumpy on YouTube who makes some of those fun like creepypasta Mario,
Right,
Or
yeah.
just creepypasta like ish stuff, and he has like a Garfield thing like Gorefield,
Right.
which is like, and he does a lot of his videos in terms of like 8-bit, like what it would look like on a Game Boy.
Oh,
It's really cool. Some really creepy stuff.
There's so much like ironic, uncanny Garfield stuff. I watched this one video of like just some actor sitting in a chair with like a green screen of like the universe behind him, and he spent an hour and 30 minutes talking about the pipe strip. Like there's like this really old Garfield comic where like he steals John's pipes or some shit, and this guy like managed to go for 1 hour and 30 minutes like trying to like say that it's like, oh, Garfield represents chaos and John represents order, and this is like a cosmic proportions, and it's like, holy shit, dude.
So ridiculous.
So yeah, Garfield is just like,
Yeah.
it's good ironically,
Yeah, I don't.
horrible everywhere else.
Garfield's just a weaker version of the other cat.
What about manga? We haven't talked about manga this entire time.
Yeah,
Shonen Jump.
yeah, Shonen Jump, absolutely.
That was a great. I know a lot of.
God, I loved buying Shonen Jump because you used to get like a Yu-Gi-Oh card with it.
Oh
really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got Cypher and
Oh, yeah.
Obelisk and.
Cyber Dragon or whatever bullshit.
I actually do remember getting Yu-Gi-Oh cards, but
Yeah.
when I was young, they didn't give us the good ones. You know, they gave us the shitty ones.
they were like special edition alt art versions of
Yeah.
Right.
cards you probably never use.
Pretty much.
And
Yeah,
especially cards that would never get used now most of the times because like
Absolutely.
Yu-Gi-Oh's like bad now. The
Yu-Gi-
power scaling's fucked. People
Yu-Gi-Oh
drop
has,
like
like, some
full
whack
decks in
meta.
one turn
Yeah,
more now
it's
consistently
insane.
because the ban list is so weak and shit like that. It's not good.
They're very afraid of bad things,
Yeah.
basically, yeah.
But yeah, I got into manga obviously before like I found out Shonen Jump, but then I found out
that was Shonen Jump for me for sure.
yeah, because I started taking Japanese in grade 9 and learned about like more Japanese culture
Right.
stuff because I grew up watching Japanese animation but not knowing it was Japanese animation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
mean,
think that's kind of the case for
Obviously, Dragon Ball Z was the big one on TV for me.
Pokemon too.
Pokemon,
Yu-Gi-Oh,
Yu-Gi-Oh,
When did I
Beyblade.
start?
Digimon.
My first show was actually Sailor Moon.
Sure, yeah.
Um,
Sailor Moon's good.
Because that was one of the earliest ones that, or not, probably not.
I
one
feel
of
like
the
Sailor
earliest
Moon
ones,
and
but that was,
DBZ were
early
like the
90s.
same time though.
No, not here. DBZ caught on later. Because I do remember watching Dragon Ball when I was younger,
Yeah.
and then eventually Dragon Ball Z
Which is funny
hit the
'cause-
scene, and that's when anime.
That's funny because
Right.
DBZ got here before Dragon Ball did.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true. I do think like Sailor Moon was around first, but I do think like it
Maybe
was
just
probably very
wasn't
similar.
big to me.
At the very least, like I never saw Dragon Ball Z until later.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, the Dragon Ball Sailor Moon stuff was like my introduction to Japanese animation, and then I took grade 9. I took Japanese language class.
I feel like
and
high
learned more
school,
about
I
it.
got like we all were way too into Naruto. That was the
Yeah.
big one in my high school. We were all just way the fuck into Naruto. We wrote our own book that was functionally
Yeah.
called. It was called The Blades of Infinity or Blades of Eternity, and it was
I think-
very overtly like
No.
all of us were super inspired by Naruto.
Yeah, that stuff hadn't quite like when I started getting into it. That stuff hadn't caught on yet. I remember,
Which makes sense because your high school was
A
like
little
3
earlier,
years
yeah.
plus after mine.
Right.
because I'm trying to remember one of the key things. Because what was it? It was. I remember going to the library and they had some random manga.
Yeah.
But it was a series like, and it's absolutely obscure. Not a lot of people know about it. It's
Huh.
called Mars.
Mars.
And it's
Mar Awakens Romance. Love Mar.
Huh.
it's
March and Awakens Romance. Mar. Love
no
it.
Mars.
No, I
It's
know.
like Mars, like the planet?
No.
No,
It's an acronym.
Is it?
Yeah, it's Mar.
I don't know if it's the one.
March and Awakens Romance.
The manga.
Manga.
I guarantee you this is it.
No,
That's not the Mar.
absolutely not.
No?
Not at
Oh,
all.
that's the one that I was loving. It was March
Yo,
and...
Branden really picking out the most obscure thing. Oh my
Sorry,
God.
babe.
No.
It's fine. We just talked Marvel and DC so far today, so we're just getting into the manga now.
This one.
oh,
This,
shit.
this one's old manga.
Oh, okay.
And it was
This looks like the same era that they did fucking Banana Fish from.
It basically was. Like you can very much tell the art
It
style.
also looks like shoujo.
Yeah, it's very much
Yeah,
a shoujo.
I think it was like a shoujo
Yeah,
manga.
this is shoujo.
And I got really into it. It was kind of problematic in some of its messaging, but it was so different from like other stuff I'd
Yeah.
been exposed to, because it was basically about this girl who's getting bullied and this playboy bad boy, and basically
Look at this
them-
fucking shit. Look at this shit.
Yeah,
Oh.
I don't know this
I love
at all.
Mar.
I do not remember.
Oh my god,
ever hearing
look at
it.
this shonen.
But I
Jump
know
ass
this
shit.
art style.
Yeah, you do. Let's see. You probably, let's see who the author is, because I guarantee you'll probably just recognize some of his other work, I imagine. Let's see here.
Very, very possible. Koichiro Hoshino.
Koichiro Hoshino.
Yeah, let's go to the wiki here for Mar. Like, I knew Mar because it was one of the similar situation where you just find like a random graphic novel and you
Yeah,
read it. And
exactly.
It's like, you don't even know if this is not even the first issue. It's just a random issue because it's all you have.
Yeah, they're just, I'll read what I can get my hands on.
Hey, let's see here.
Yeah, there's even like Mar Omega. The sequel
It was
series.
written and illustrated by Nobuyuki Anzai. Went down there, right?
There we go.
Between 2003.
Let's see what else do you
Oh my god!
I like his
this
sunglasses.
guy!
Goddamn. Look at this gangster.
That was from Chiba. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know this man.
Works.
I thought I've
Oh
seen.
shit! I know.
Oh, Flame of Recca!
Yo.
Yeah! Okay.
Yo, the legend.
That one I got. I was
Holy shit.
super into this one.
Okay. So you do know the work a bit at least. Yeah.
That's why the art's familiar.
Yeah. I loved Mars. So in the very same vein that you were talking about, like getting jank graphic novels and just or manga and reading them,
Yeah.
Mar was one of those ones where I read a few issues and then like both Mar and Rave Master were ones
Rave Master. Yeah, that was
ones
the
I
big
picked
one.
up way later than they came out because like by the time I read either of those, I was super into fairy tale.
Yeah.
Because like so the big three is obviously it was like One Piece, Bleach, and Naruto.
Naruto. Yeah.
I was super into Naruto when it was happening, right? Like
I enjoyed it.
Everyone was super into Naruto in like that
Pretty
time
much,
frame.
I was
like,
into all three of the big three.
I tried getting to bleed One Piece, couldn't do it.
Yeah.
The art style is too disgusting to look at. I can't do it. It's terrible.
You think Bleach's art style is
No,
bad?
No, One Piece.
Oh, One Piece. Okay.
Which like I get people's
Oh.
reason, but I actually enjoyed it because it was different.
For me,
I enjoyed the goofiness of it.
I actually started reading One Piece at like a very young age, and I do think like the art style has gotten worse over the years. But it's one of those things where it's like even though like nowadays I can put up with Oda's like. Because the artist, like I think my problem with his art style as far as the manga goes isn't even character design. It's if you look at a lot of more like in the past 10 years One Piece pages, they are like very cluttered. Like you need to take a moment and stop and like decipher what the
Which
fuck
is funny
going
because I was
on.
literally about to bring up that Bleach.
is the opposite.
never had that issue. Bleach
Yeah.
is so fucking crisp and clean. Even though the characters are all like, their outfits are usually black and white and shit, it's so distinct
Yeah.
what is happening. You can see it
It's
so,
just-
because that dude's like, I don't care if you don't like his storytelling technique, that dude can fucking draw.
Yeah, his
Oh,
character
yeah.
design is off the charts.
And that's what carried Bleach for so
It's so
long.
fucking,
was how
it's
it
just
was.
so cool. That's
Yeah,
it.
it's just a style of the
Yeah.
substance, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sucked because like at a certain point it just got to be everything else got to
I
be
need
too much.
to go watch the new one though, because apparently
I-
it's so good on Disney.
Yeah,
Plus.
Dude, have you? Oh my god, some
need
of the
to-
fights are so fucking crisp.
In
Yeah.
the new one?
It's juicy.
love it. I feel like we're spoiled nowadays too, because like back then the big three was also all you were really getting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You got the
unless you were doing like the Shonen Jump thing where you were getting
You were
like
getting
the
like
shit.
a few issues of a few other ones. Like one of my personal favorite ones that's old like that, Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yes.
Yeah, dude, that's like my favorite.
I-
anime.
I-
It is, mine too.
I fucking love Yu Yu
Yeah,
Hakusho.
Yu Yu Hakusho.
All the way, dude.
Yeah,
It's
I
actually
have
shit my favorite.
I have like a few like Yu Yu Hakusho souvenirs.
I have
from when I
posters.
lived there.
I have posters
Yes.
at my house of Yu Yu Hakusho.
I think Shonen Jump helped me find Yu Yu Hakusho and Rurouni Kenshin.
Rurouni Kenshin is another big one. Yeah.
And then like
Definitely Yu Yu Hakusho, and I feel like the other one was that like weird. It's not Bakugan. It's Bakuman.
Bakuman, the one about the manga artist. Dude, I actually really like that one.
There's that one, and then there's also one. What's the black and white little flip piece game?
Oh, Go!
Like,
Hikari no Go.
There's a Go fucking manga that I read. I was like, I
Yeah.
have no idea what's happening, but sure.
To be fair, if you know anything about manga, anything could be a manga.
Yeah.
I've read football manga. I've read
Go is the only sports manga I've actually like sat through and read a bunch
I've seen a lot of people say like
I really want to read the Mahjong manga.
Yeah.
I've heard good things about
there's
that.
one of my friends told me about where it's like a bunch of historical figures playing what's it called? Like Go? Like
Okay.
you know like the board game, right? That's
Oh,
kind of
shit.
checkers. What's it called?
Are you thinking Go or Shogi?
Shogi, yeah.
Shogi, yeah.
Yeah, shogi. Like there's like one where it's like a bunch of historical figures playing shogi. And he's telling me like, oh man, there's like this big arc where like everybody
Okay.
like lines up and they try to beat Hitler in shogi, and it's like,
I'm,
what the
I'm-
fuck?
I'm
That's
only
wild,
gonna
dude.
correct you because like you're going to Japan and like
Yeah,
I think you
of
would
course.
appreciate it. Shogi,
Shogi.
Yes.
Shogi. Okay.
because yeah.
Shogi.
I watched a TikTok yesterday on the note of pronunciation, just really
Yeah.
aside, where someone was like, "How do you pronounce Ziki?
Zeke.
Ziki?
Ziki? Sure.
Zeke.
What is it? I do
That's
not.
the Greek sauce. That's like
Oh,
Oh.
Tzatziki, right?
Tzatziki or whatever, right?
Tzatziki.
Someone
Yeah, tzatziki.
was like, they pronounced it wrong in their TikTok as like Zaziki or something, or
Yeah.
Ziki or something like
It's-
that. And like, someone corrected them, and they did a reply video going like, "Guys, I'm Greek. I know how to pronounce
Whoa.
it." It's like, girl,
Yeah.
your grandparents are fucking Greek.
You
ain't
are not.
shit. And
Yeah.
like, the comments are all calling out. They're like, "No, I'm Greek. I live in Greece, and you're an idiot."
Yeah, I'm also one of those people who generally I don't, unless like there's a reason to, or like I know somebody would probably like to know the correct pronunciation. I tend to like
Yeah.
usually I just let it slide.
Yeah.
Like whatever.
Like yeah, it depends on like who I'm talking to because like I am friends with like a lot of people who are like foreign students here who maybe
Yeah.
like don't always have the best grip on English,
Yeah.
and they tell me like, hey, if I ever mispronounce something, like call me out because like yeah, it's
Yeah.
annoying, but at least you're helping me get better at English.
Well, yeah.
right?
If they like they're actively wanting to improve and they want you
Yeah.
to correct them, then yeah, I'll
if,
tell
if
them.
it's just some random stranger on the street, like if the lady
not
at
worth the
Tim Hortons
competition.
says my
yeah,
name
it's
wrong,
kind of like
I'm
if somebody
like,
somebody
"Whoa."
pronounced my name wrong, like
Yeah.
whatever.
I mean, as long as they stop calling me Gavin, I'm cool.
Gave.
Okay, so we talked big three, how we all went through a bit of each of it, right?
Right.
But and
What was your next thing after the big three? Because mine was Fairy Tail.
Full Metal Alchemist?
Full Metal Alchemist for me too, and also
That has always been one of my top.
not just that, but I also remember I got really into like sports manga and
Oh,
anime.
I did read a
when
lot of
I was
those.
in my teens. Yeah, I remember my favorite was Kuroko's Basketball. I don't know if you guys have heard
I
of
haven't
that.
read that one. I read Slam Dunk.
It's
I read
pretty good.
Witchblade.
Oh my god.
Did you ever see Ice Shield 21?
Yeah, I really
the
like that
football
one, too.
manga,
The
which
football
was
manga, yeah.
such an interesting thing because like I didn't realize that people played football in Japan or didn't play American football
Yeah.
in Japan.
I feel like
It's very rare.
it's just Fairy Tail for me. Like after the big three, it was
Definitely.
literally I went to Fairy Tail and then I went backwards and dug through. Like I went back and tried to catch up on all of Hunter x Hunter.
I
yeah.
had to
Hunter x Hunter's
backtrack
up
on
there
that
too,
one.
yeah.
I've gone back and like read a lot of Ranma 1/2. I've gone back and read a lot of like.
Yeah, Ranma 1/2.
And then I've watched
God.
a bunch of Detective Conan.
Dude,
Right.
honestly, I know I have this massive list because there was a point where I was going online and downloading manga chapters.
Yeah.
I have a hard drive
And it's
that
like-
has
it's
this
like 10 gigabytes,
massive
yeah.
folder. Oh, On My Goddess. That was one I really enjoyed.
Oh my god.
Tsubasa
Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicles.
and Cardcaptors obviously was one we
yes,
didn't
of
bring up.
course. I got I watched Cardcaptors on Teletoon,
God, I'm trying to remember.
but I really got into Tsubasa.
what illegal manga sites I used to use.
Oh, so many of them.
For me, it was Kiss Manga. That was my number one.
Yeah.
That
Manga
came out
Fox.
afterwards. Manga
Yeah.
Fox. No, there's a different one. There was.
Manga Fox was the one I used. I don't think it exists anymore.
I gotta message my weeb friends and ask them which.
Oh,
manga
I
it was.
also did the Tenchi. Do you know Tenchi Muyo?
No, not quite.
Yeah, it was one of those harem mangas, but
Okay.
I got really into it when I was younger because I watched Toonami, and they had Tenchi Muyo, Outlaw Star, which is another one
Yeah, I know
and
about
that
Outlaw
anime
Star,
I
actually, yeah.
love, and Gundam and Dragon Ball and da-da-da-da. But the Tenchi Muyo one was fun because it was the first anime that I had ever seen where it had the anime. And then they actually made manga that was a sequel to the
Right, it wasn't
anime.
an adaptation. It was like a straight up sequel to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the anime came first. There was no manga or light
okay.
novel as far as I know, and then they made manga that was a sequel to the Tenchi Muyo
okay, yeah. So,
anime,
I
which
guess-
was actually it was like it had its heart, but it had a lot of really cute, funny stuff. It was like actually really, really fun manga to read.
Huh. No, I'll give it a try sometime.
Yeah, look up Tenchi Muyo and then look for the manga because they're.
Tenchi Muyo, okay.
And oh god, there's so many. There's obviously I read a lot of like I feel like I must have read plenty of ecchi-esque kind of stuff. Like I never read
We all
pure
were
hentai,
teenage
but
boys once, yeah.
but I mean you can only go so far away from ecchi stuff with most manga, especially back in the day and nowadays.
Speaking of
Oh my god! So quick aside on the note of ecchi, teenage boys are horny as shit.
Well, yes.
There was this one random fucking book in my library. It wasn't even like a horny thing. It was like it was literally just this.
Sears catalog.
No, it was this book. It was like this elf book. It was this manga book about elves in the forest and some shit.
Okay.
And the only thing that brought that up is literally just one time I was reading it and I was just because you read whatever manga your school library fucking
absolutely.
had. It didn't matter what it was. You just read it. So I read through the whole thing and I get halfway through and at one point there's full uncensored titties in this book.
Oh my
yeah.
god.
Nothing happened sexual in this book, but I was like,
Well, yeah.
Man.
Again, for old manga, having boobs was not a big deal.
Yeah.
the horny
I
little
mean, I
thing.
guess it depends on how you even frame it, right? Because
Yeah.
when it's just their boobs shown,
Well,
if it's,
and as long as there's no nipples drawn.
yeah, but even beyond that, it's also just if it's just something in the background, you're not really supposed to take note of, you know what I mean? I feel there's a difference between
Yeah.
emphasizing
Well,
it and just your characters.
I mean,
naked.
there's a lot of ones where it's it's very front and center.
Yeah. That's
But it's still to most manga, it's not a big deal.
Yeah,
as long
exactly.
if there's no actual sexual thing happening and it's just boobs, kind of like many an onsen scene in manga.
right.
Also, do you see what his weapon is?
What is his weapon?
It's a kendama.
Yeah, it's a kendama.
It's a fucking
Oh,
kendama.
And then his buddy there,
Is that a
goofy looking motherfucker back there, he uses a shovel. And then the other guy uses a bunch of fingers.
So
that
silly.
it's such a fun fucking ride. I would. So you know how they did the original Hunter x Hunter and it was shitty, and then they did the new anime and it was actually good.
Nah.
Yeah.
And how they also did that with the Faith show. I would love to see a new adaptation of this that was done well.
Dude, honestly, at this point, I think literally anything can be readapted because I don't know
The quality from
Ooh, speaking of a fun
early
one, Shaman
2000s.
King.
Shaman King's so good, and to be fair, Shaman King was. It's funny. We got the reboot of Shaman King, and it's
I haven't
kinda-
actually watched it yet.
It's fun. I've watched a bit.
Okay.
And they cut out a lot of the fillers on Netflix, actually. I think. My biggest complaint about the weirdest thing is Shaman King holds up pretty well, especially when you compare the 2.
Well,
I think when it comes to a lot of these older stuff, it's usually the original show covered everything up to the point where the manga was.
Where it had too much filler and
Yeah,
shit.
and then
Yes.
the new show covers things that weren't originally covered in the anime that did happen in the manga later.
Yeah, so you can see the original art style there. It's it's dated, sure, but it's not like it's
wasn't
overtly
bad.
I
terrible.
like it better. All the characters seem really chill, and I kind of I don't know, like the old one has like I think it's like the color tones for me in the old one.
I'd be
you know?
curious to see because I did like that was the thing I really liked about Yo is like he was always just so like.
He's still quite a vibe in the new
Okay,
one.
cool.
Yeah, and like you can see here, obviously there's the manga, there's the new and the olds, and like they obviously like you can see that they sort of so.
My only
I can't say
gripe
this for sure, but looking at the difference between the comic and the new one is it feels more like whoever the artist on the new one is deviating further from the original graphic novel. Like you can tell with the eye shapes specifically, because like
my big
these are the cover eyes, like they're very distinct.
Yeah.
My big gripe with like the newer one is like everything seems so shiny. You know, like all like the characters.
Yeah.
Like, there's like definitely like the
It's
certain
polished,
glow to them.
yeah.
They're trying very much to get it like to modern standards.
Yeah, which I mean that's fine. I think
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
fine.
Yeah,
that's
honestly.
the reason, you know.
And hey, if people remember Shaman King, then good because it's a fucking great show.
I love Shaman King.
Fucking Foss was such a like.
Faust is oh my! So I learned about Faust, and I have a D&D character made after Faust because of Shaman King.
Yeah,
Really? Holy
so
shit.
cool.
Yeah, because like, okay, so the cool thing with Shaman King is there's so many like historical references and shit.
Oh yeah, well because you're dealing with dead people,
Yeah.
so you can bring back so much.
I have an important question for you. Who is your, if you not self-insert, but who do you like, quote unquote, like identify the most with on the Shaman King cast?
But honestly, for me, it's generally Yo because I also very much like I'll let things like I want things to be chill and to slide.
My favorite character, or the one that I don't know if it necessarily matches the question I asked, but it has to be Lyserg. This little fucking Sherlock bitch in the back.
so much fun.
His spirit is a fairy.
Yes.
And he fights by using this pendulum that's like attached to this like chain, and his spirit's in it, and he literally just like the spirit just attacks. So think realistically, like kind of combat wise, a little bit like how the father in Guardians of the Galaxy does.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
okay, I know what you mean. Yeah.
With just a small object being darted around the field and shit. And then at one point, there's like supers that he creates Big Ben full of spirit
He's
energy.
Big
'Cause
Ben?
he's British.
Yeah.
Oh, he's
if-
British.
Because he's
All
like a
right.
whole Sherlock thing.
Yes.
I got you.
But yeah, like in terms of like who I identify as, it would definitely be Yo. But I love Anna. I love
She's
Rio.
so mean.
She's
But like it's kind of like a sexy mean.
yeah, she's very much like that, like very hard love kind of person.
Yeah.
which is great to
Yo
Yo's,
needs
like,
it. Yeah, Yo's such a fucking slacker.
And then there's Rio, who starts off as like just generic
He's such a
antagonist.
Him
but
and
then he becomes
Kuwabara are the same
Yes!
fucking character, and I love them
exactly,
both.
and I love them so much. And then there was
Trey.
and
Trey's cool shit,
Trey's
too.
cool. Faust. Like I love Faust. Like after
This
he
bitch
gets over his villain thing.
Doesn't land for me as much.
No.
No.
He was the Vegeta of the show, and
Yeah.
he just did not land as much.
Nah, he's like his sister is hot as hell though.
Yes.
Oops. I have a poster of her at my house.
Really?
No,
Yeah.
I don't blame you. She was. Woo.
Sorry, there's a character. There's functionally like Bruce Lee's resurrected corpse
Bruce
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
as a character in the show. Yeah, here it is.
Holy shit, there he is.
Lee Paiwan is the sister. Uses Lee Paiwan, and he's literally a zombie because that's how his family traditionally uses stuff.
their parents killed him and gave him to her as a gift.
Which I took in one of my D&D character backstories. I had my mom kill my father and embed
my
his
God.
soul into a sword, and I was a Hexblade Warlock, and my father was my sword.
Oh,
And we were
God.
on the hunt to try and beat my mom's ass. Because I told
Yeah.
that exact plot line.
I mean, that's basically what they had to do.
I feel like that's like a lot of people's, like, at least a lot of nerds I know. We'll take little tidbits out of different things from
Yeah,
different
yeah.
little, like
Yeah.
pop culture bullshit and take
Absolutely.
it into our own shit. Like
Because
that.
I mean, it's like take your favorite stuff. It's like one of my favorite characters is just Entrapta from Shira because
so good. I love Entrapta. She's so funny.
I'm just like, if there was ever a character I wish we could have gotten more from, it would have been like learning more about Entrapta.
She's autistic coded for
Oh,
sure.
absolutely.
I
Kind
would
of like how Perfuma is meant to be a trans character.
Yeah. Perfumer?
Yeah.
Interesting. That
Like-
one's less. That's more subtle because I didn't catch that one.
They're-
then obviously
they-
Double Trouble is non-binary for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Double
But-
Trouble is a non-binary icon.
Yes. According to the creators of that, Perfuma is meant to be a trans
The
character.
least shocking thing I've ever heard
Oh,
in my life
absolutely.
is that there are queer characters from her.
Well,
From
yes.
them. Her. Him.
I do not recall.
Shiva's creator was Andy Stevenson.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they
Formerly Noel. Okay,
Noel.
yeah. They're now.
Nate.
Okay.
I followed them on
Ian,
Twitter
okay.
actually.
It's actually been a while since I looked up. I did not realize they had.
Yeah, he. So
Okay,
yeah,
he.
overtly queer for sure though.
Yes.
Right,
No,
of course.
absolutely.
Everything in that show is gay. Even
Yeah.
the main like traction between the villain and the hero is the enemies to lovers.
Oh yeah. Well, it's very much like it was like honestly that is still one of my favorite like again that's part like the characters the individual characters and then like the overarching like villain and hero story for the show with Catcher and Adora is like as much as like it's not a great show because like it's kind of like lacking in like the world and like overall narrative.
So
isn't,
part of
like,
that is that they were also a
fun.
little restricted.
Yeah, they
because
super were.
It's the He-Man universe technically, but they only had access to the She-Ra introduced properties, so they couldn't reference
Like
where she
He-Man
was
or-
where
yeah.
she was actually from.
Yeah.
Which is and they couldn't
That would've been
reference
so good.
much more about the villain groups that are around past
Yeah.
what's his nuts.
And it was like, I just imagine if they had everything available to them, that show would have been just amazing.
it's already so
it's
good.
It's so good. It could have been stellar.
What I want to do, I want a spiritual successor to it
Mm.
of Nate doing He-Man. Because I
Huh.
feel like the other adaptation of He-Man
it
was
was-
kind of mid.
Yeah.
There was another adaptation of He-Man?
Yeah, there was a
Yep.
recent one by
Which
Kevin Smith.
people thought was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
But I like
It feels like it was too close to the original stuff.
Yeah.
Because like the best part here it is, yeah. So the best part of the new of She-Ra is that she took the IP, which is a very basic IP.
there wasn't a lot to
just
work.
like G.I. Joe and those ones from that time where they functionally just took a bunch of bodies and swapped different heads on them.
Yeah.
Like they're all the same fucking mold.
Action figures, baby.
Yeah, no, exactly. So the He-Man show was because the way they did it was so obviously like he loved the original and he was really just building that story again,
Okay.
but with higher quality. Whereas I think it would have been interesting for at least from my perspective as someone who's not really like attached
to
plus-
the original. or-
Yeah, this is slightly more interesting in that vein, but it's also not good.
Interesting, but not good.
The He-Man and then okay, come on, show me some images from this one, please. Let's see if it'll work. So this is the newer show, I think.
That's the newer one, yeah.
They have this jank-ass one.
What the
Yeah, they have a full CG He-Man show.
Whoa!
That's
cursed.
goofy as hell.
That is...
What is wrong with his arm?
Yo, why does he look like fucking Garen from League of Legends? Is anyone seeing this?
Yeah, look at him there.
Oh my god.
I mean, at least it looks like they're having some fun with the character models.
I mean, yeah, if you're gonna do it,
Because
just
like
play
you
it
can
up.
see that there's a lot more vast variety between all the characters. Like look at the Morg or whatever his
Yeah.
fucking name is. I don't know. I just think She-Ra has been consistently better. The new She-Ra
No,
stuff
I
is
agree.
much better than the new He-Man stuff.
Yeah.
Voltron slaps though.
Yeah?
That's what I hear. I never did watch it.
My biggest pet peeve with Voltron is the fandom around it, where they're like, that character and that character should go together.
Yeah,
and the fact
dude.
that they don't is queer baiting. It's like, no!
Literally everything
No!
I've heard is like that fan base. It's like they think
Oh,
like
it's the worst fan
It's
base.
like if I smiled at somebody and they smiled back, they'd be like,
You two
"Holy
gonna
shit,
fuck."
These characters they belong together."
Yeah.
I ship these guys. You know, like what the
and
fuck
like
is wrong
it's
with
so
you?
funny because the whole series. Okay, so the main cast has like Shiro, it's got Lance, it's got Pidge, it's got Keith, and it's got Chunk.
Yeah, I think so.
And then it's also got the princess, right?
Yeah.
And overtly from the beginning, Lance is after the princess.
Yeah.
From the beginning. And this
Okay.
isn't news. And then later on, Keith, this is my own spoilers, but it's really not a big deal because the show's been out for a decade.
yeah.
Or 5 years now or whatever.
And I've seen it.
I am probably never gonna watch it.
Keith,
So.
you find out that Keith's mother's an alien. She's part of the actual evil group. And you find that out. And Keith, there's an alien in that species as well who like Keith has like the romantic tension with.
Right.
And like there's actual romantic tension there and it's overt and in the show. Same with Lance and the princess, and then also kind of the princess and Lotor.
Right.
Also, like there's a little three-thing triangle going on between
Okay.
those three characters. But the fandom's like Keith and Shiro, Keith and Shiro, Keith and Lance, Keith and Lance, and they get salty when that isn't what happened. It's like, okay, Shiro has a husband.
Yeah.
Shiro is gay.
Yeah.
And he has a husband. Stop. And also, Shiro is like an older brother to him, please stop.
Yeah.
Because like the main cast are kind of kids, and
Right.
Shiro's like a 25-year-old dude.
And everybody always talks about how it's like, oh, Keith and Lance, they had so much like they said all
Keith
these
and,
things,
Lance,
they
yeah.
did all these things, and it's like, bro, you notice that friends exist.
Yeah, they're just
like,
platonic.
People can talk without like being in
Yeah.
love with each other.
At worst,
you know?
Lance is literally Keith's Lancer.
Right,
Like
yeah.
the archetype, the Lancer.
Really.
He's pretty much just Keith's Vegeta.
He's like,
Do you
TV
want
tropes.
Vegeta
Yeah,
and
you know?
Goku to fuck? No.
No.
Stop. Well, sure.
I was gonna say,
Maybe
Goku
some-
has a wife, Vegeta has a wife, they have relationships that are
Yeah.
there. Stop assuming that every time a character looks at each other, it's queer baiting.
Exactly. Like,
There are queer characters out there. Like, Willow has 2 queer characters in the show. Just don't assume that every time a character looks at another character, they're gonna bone.
well,
I-
these two
I-
have a positive relationship.
I mean,
It must be well.
my hope is that like we're getting to a point now where there are more, like people are starting to just be able to just overtly put
Oh,
their
allies.
queer
All the
relationship,
time.
which
Yeah.
means like hopefully will like allow people to just enjoy relationships as they are presented in the show.
Sure, but
then
I-
people
I-
are always going to shit. That's always
Which
going
is
to be a
fine.
thing.
Like-
but it's just like to the extent that
Just
some
don't
people
give
do,
the creators flack for
Yes.
queer baiting
Yeah.
you when they
which is
did
all,
it.
which is always bad.
Like
Never-
some of these people are crazy, and they're like, I'm gonna send out death
like
threats
never,
to creators. 'cause they
never
don't like
give
this
a
group.
creator flack for the show not going the way you wanted it to go.
Like, even
like unless
because Korra and what's his name, the Firebender,
Yeah.
those two had tension the whole series long, and then the Asami Korra stuff was sort of more of like a in the background stuff for the first
Right.
yeah,
two
and
seasons?
so it was like it was there. So when like the ending was kind of like okay, if you're reading into it, you do kind of see it. But it
Right.
was,
So I think in the uncensored version they do kiss at the very last scene.
oh, do they?
I think
Nickelodeon
so.
was in
'Cause
that
they hold
at
hands
that
at the
point.
end.
Yeah, yeah.
And like, does that count as queer baiting? Because I don't think they were really. Because big part of queer baiting is that they market it to the queer community,
Right.
As these are like where they like cater to the queer community. I don't think that was really the.
I don't think that's really
No,
queer
I
baiting.
wouldn't say that's queer baiting at that point where it's just like, okay, I think at that point we can confirm that Asami and Korra are together.
Sure.
And then they follow up with the comics where they just straight up are.
Yeah.
Right.
So there is no queer baiting because like it's an established thing.
And not only that, but like before that, like the entire franchise, the entire like Avatar franchise, like it didn't really have much of like a queer element to it, right? Like,
It was, I mean,
No,
romance,
not-
say, like-
romance was barely an element in those ones. Anyways,
Yeah.
like everyone shipped off
Even
the
if-
characters at the end for the next season because you need to have kids
Yeah.
of characters.
I mean, to be
Right.
fair, it did feel like they definitely had like Sokka go
Sokka.
through it with like relationships.
yeah, and I
Right.
mean, that's
Um,
kind of the funniest thing
and-
about him was that his whole thing. I'm like,
His
honestly,
girlfriend turned into
Katara-
moon.
Yeah, his girlfriend. Fucking, I love that line
That's
so
rough,
much. Like
man.
it's like
That's
my
rough, bud.
my girlfriend got turned into the moon. That's rough, buddy.
Yeah.
Fucking Zuko and Sokka.
There's
So relatable, man.
headcanons that after Sokka and Suki have their own thing, that Sokka and Toph got together, and that's who's Toph's second daughter's father.
Because they never really did go much into what Sokka did after. All we know is
Yeah,
he was a
I
counselor
think
for
the
the
new
city, that's
show
all.
is going to get more into that.
Yeah, but like,
but
I think part of that is
yeah.
also that like the original Avatar, they were pretty young characters, so it wasn't like
Yeah,
Right.
well, especially Aang.
yeah.
Like,
Like Aang was going after someone like 3 years older than him, I think. Like,
Yeah.
not down.
And then like in the sequel, Korra is like 16, 17, like she's overtly like a young adult teenager.
yeah, she's old enough, but she's also just like young and stupid.
And it had a little bit more like young angst to it, teenager angst
Yeah.
to it for sure.
And I think Sokka was like 15, which makes it more reasonable that he's like getting in like all these relationships because
I
that's when
just
like
thought
that's
the dumb kid.
yeah.
I'll also give the show this. It's a show based in wartime, and it is
Yeah.
one of those things where, yeah, these people are going to grow up way faster than normal
Yeah,
people
for sure.
would. So I don't necessarily hold them to the same standards.
Aang is definitely not your average Joe, you know.
Yeah,
He's-
I do think it's like it's a little weird.
Zuko dates the fire girl, right?
Yeah.
My, and then who does Ty Lee end up with? Because she's my favorite.
Kylie never ends up with anybody.
Because Ty Lee's with everyone.
Oh yeah, Ty Lee can absolutely is out fucking.
Yeah, Ty Lee's just got a harem of dudes.
Yeah, or
It's like
whoever.
the beach episode.
Oh yeah, that was.
She's going to swim a dude's fondant.
Oh, yeah.
I love that beach
Tylee's
episode so much.
Because it's so like not a standard.
The way it
episode.
ends is so much fun.
I love the part where like Azula, like even though like you see like this whole
Sucks.
series, like she's like, oh man, she's like so cruel and mean, and she's like above everybody, and then
Yeah.
she goes to like some party of like teenagers, and she's like
so bad.
She's so bad. She's like
She's
the
trying
lowest of
so
low.
hard to be a normal teenager. It's like
She's
you are
so
not.
bad at it.
None of you are good. The only person who's kind of good at this is Ty. Or no, Tylee's good at this.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody else is like,
So
Maya,
awkward
Maya's
about it.
emotionally stunted. Zuko is traumatized. she's just a monster.
Yeah.
Feigning being human.
And it was fun though because like it actually did give like a lot more humanization to Ursula.
Yeah.
It's like it does not excuse everything you've done, and then you just basically just like erase any goodwill you got in that episode later. But it was like
I think my favorite part of it was it wasn't filler. It was character
it
development.
was definitely character
So much of
development.
Avatar. There are only like maybe like 3 episodes of Avatar that I think are like absolute filler.
Yeah.
Like maybe like that one, The Divide, and then there's like one in like season 3 with like.
I mean, there's the overt recap episode, which is arguably the puppet one.
But I forgive that one because it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah,
It was pretty fun.
It is the
Yeah.
best recap episode. It's the best clip show I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
To date, I think it is my favorite clip show episode I've seen of any show. Besides, I
Absolutely.
think maybe Community did one, and Community doesn't really miss. So
Yeah.
even in the Ghastly League here, Community's still funny as hell.
Yeah, I love that.
What were we saying? On the
those
note
are
of
good shows.
the Avatar and then Dragon Prince. Have any of you guys been watching it?
I've seen
I
the
need to
first
watch the
3.
newest one.
Yeah, I haven't watched 4 yet.
I watched the hell. I actually
Or the one that just dropped?
4 is the one that just dropped.
Okay,
Yeah, I
I'm up
actually
to
did
date.
rewatch like just a month ago. I rewatched the original seasons. And
Nice.
so
I
I'm
think we mentioned this like another episode. How was it, Gavin? Because
Good. I finished it now.
Yeah?
I finished it now. Very, very solid. It's getting to the point where it feels a little like Avatar Game of Thrones a bit.
Okay.
Not in like everyone dies, but in that the cast is quite large.
yeah.
Right. And you're following all these different plot lines.
Exactly. So it's got very
There's
much
a lot
that
going on.
because like not even a big spoiler, but you've got like you've got the villains who you follow.
Yeah.
Then you've got the main gang, right? So the prince, his brother, the high mage, the king, because he's the king now.
Yeah.
The high mage, the king, the captain of the guard, which is Soren, and he's my favorite character.
I love
He's
that
so
scene
much fun.
where he sneaks past all the peasants with like the cart of cabbages. Or
He's
whatever.
also overtly a himbo, and I
Yes.
love it.
He's so goofy, and I love it.
Yeah, see, then you got the bad guys, which have a non-binary character in it, which is really cool.
That's cool.
Or I think they're trans, actually. I think they're trans.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you've got there's like bad guys, main cast, and then there's a whole separate plot line going on with the signer, the mute character.
Yes, their aunt,
Their aunt. Yeah, there's a whole separate plot line going on with
who's
her.
always been one of the most badass characters that whole show.
Yeah, and she's with the fire elf and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm so glad. Like, it was one of those things where I was just like, you could kind of see it happening in there,
in
and
the
I'm so
fight
glad
too,
it did.
in the first fight where they met each other.
Yeah, but it was just like, I don't know. It's like that whole she's probably the thing I remember the most about that show because from the start she's like super kind, super nice.
Yeah.
But then she's literally the most badass person in this
She's so
whole
cool. And
show.
the fact that she's like one of the most like threatening and badass characters, and she's both mute and
Yes.
uses a fucking shield.
She's mute
as her
female.
weapon.
she just bounces
Yeah.
with her
Sorry,
shield.
she's mute. She's female. She's a lesbian.
Yeah.
and she fights using a defensive weapon.
Yeah, she's goofy for
so
taking parts.
fucking cool. There's a shield subclass that was added. It's not official in 5th edition, but it's in Arcadia. They made a shield subclass that uses a shield to fight, and I really want to
I
use
love
it. One of the things they can do is with the smaller shields is they can Captain America it and shit like that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
so
yeah.
fucking cool.
That's
kinda cool.
fun.
Yeah,
I like that.
Dragon Prince is good.
Yeah, I gotta watch it.
Just on the sidetrack of might as well burn through these really quickly. Dota is fun.
I've wanted
I've
to watch
heard-
that for a
yeah,
while.
I've
Isn't it
watched-
completed now?
So they did the first 2 seasons, and then they did a 3rd season that just dropped. I don't know if they're doing a 4th. They could. The 3rd season is the first 2 seasons are functionally leading towards one goal, and the 3rd season is like almost a darkest timeline type.
So like a
shit.
fallout of what happens at the end of the
Yeah,
season,
kind
I guess?
of.
Yeah.
It's cool that way. Castlevania is fucking awesome.
Yeah,
Oh
it really
yeah. If you haven't watched Castlevania yet, get on it.
Did watch the Son of Zeus show, and it's not as good as those other ones, but it's fun.
Do not recall that one.
It's another Netflix animated
Okay.
movie.
And you guys have already seen Cyberpunk Edge Runners. We don't need to tell the viewers.
I haven't.
Yeah.
I still
You
need.
haven't?
I still need to watch it.
Fucking
I
slaps.
just started replaying Cyberpunk as well.
Edgerunners
So I
is
need
so
to
good. It
watch
technically takes place before the game.
I know.
so-
I need to watch it because then I can appreciate all the drops in the show
I feel like
or in the game. Sorry.
getting a finite stories, these season-wide stories stuff. I don't think we've ever been at a better time than right now for these
just-
types of shows.
But yeah, just like single mini series kind of.
Not even
things, right?
mini-series, just ones where the creators are like, oh, we want to do 3 seasons of a show.
Right.
Go.
Yeah. Like there's a clear vision.
Yeah,
And they
it's
follow
like-
through. Yeah.
There were times throughout things where Adventure Time and Steven Universe, but those ones they didn't have finite, like they weren't exactly like season long arcs, and they weren't like finite. They had a lot of like you could watch episode of the week type thing to them.
Yeah,
With,
at,
like, a bit
at
of
the
an
very
arc on
start, for
especially,
sure.
yeah. But they had a bit of an arc in the background, even like Star vs. the Force. Like a lot of those
Yeah.
Disney XD shows are very episodic, and I love Star vs. the Force is Evil. But then you go into stuff like Gravity Falls, which 2 seasons is all he wanted, and he did it.
Right.
So good.
Over the Garden Wall is 8 episodes long and fucking immaculate.
Yes.
There's nothing I could cut from that show at all. Not a minute.
That was
It feels so
very
much more
succinct.
deliberate, right?
Yeah. And then you go into like things like Infinity Train and Owl House.
Yeah, I'm never gonna stop being mad about Owl House.
I feel like we live in a golden age of animation, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Of
It's
like
just-
TV.
it's just
animation.
the fucking companies keep ruining it.
I mean, just don't go to Disney. Just go to Netflix.
I really,
If you want queer representation, you can't go to the Disney Corporation. They don't.
I
do
do.
it.
Well, I do love how much they're just like fucking just throw all the queer
Well, because they're
messaging
just,
into it.
especially at the end now, because they're like,
Yeah.
fuck you, Disney.
Yeah, you cancel us. We're gonna make it undeniably queer.
We're gonna make this so gay.
Yeah, I
Just give me a goddamn
I
clip.
rewatched the newest episode.
I haven't watched the last season yet.
I'm not gonna
I'm
spoil
waiting.
anything except like the beginning. Like it's just the representation. Like the
I think
first
even
like
Amphibia
beginning.
is also very much like the season long arcs is very really good too.
It wasn't bad. Like I
like Amphibia.
I do like the little connections between Amphibia
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and the Owl House.
Yeah.
I'm just like my canon is that they are definitely the same. Well, no, they are the same universe. They very much are the same universe, and I love that so much.
Owl House, Amphibia.
Because I would love to see that crossover
Isn't,
episode.
Alex Hirsch also involved in all of those as well?
I think so.
Because he's the voice of some characters in some of those shows too,
Yeah.
and he's the one who made Gravity Falls, obviously.
Yeah.
Right.
He's really good.
Oh yeah.
He
Like
was the voice of Dipper.
Hirsch and yeah, that's right. Hirsch and Nate were just they're amazing.
Yeah.
Creative. I love them so much.
Do we have anything we want to talk about more on comics and manga before we get? We
Um,
got distracted
no.
by cartoons.
I
and
think I'm
adaptation.
pretty good on like the comics and manga from a film.
Yeah.
Do we have a brief interlude of graphic novels?
Yeah.
Any graphic novels that you were like a fan of when you were a kid?
When I was young, I definitely read a lot of Bone. I think I mentioned it
Yeah, you
before we
mentioned
started
Bone.
filming. Like yeah,
Bone
like,
was good.
Bone was pretty good.
Because functionally, there's like the comic books, which are those short issues,
Mhm.
and then there are manga, which are weekly releases from
Yeah,
Japan,
yeah.
and then graphic novels are sort of like an
A
interlude,
full
right?
volume, yeah.
So
Yeah,
like, obviously, Bone's really really good, and then you've got things like
I remember V for Vendetta.
Fable. Isn't Fable a graphic novel? But it was produced by DC.
I think those are comics.
I thought it was released as
No,
a
no,
graphic
they're-
novel.
I think they're released as issues, as
Okay,
comic issues.
okay.
If I recall correctly, because I did. Read,
I don't know much about Fable, so
Yeah, I read them. I actually did read all the Fable
Nice.
after I watched Wolf Among Us. Like
That
I,
makes sense,
I
that
watched
makes
somebody
sense.
play Wolf Among Us, and
Yeah.
I was like, I need to look into this.
as you should, as you should.
And it was, yeah, overall, it was quite good.
A lot of the times it seems like
Funny.
graphic
Miles
novels
Morales.
are kind of like.
Also,
based on
Bad Guys. That's the movie that just came out.
Oh shit! Scott
Oh.
Pilgrim versus the World. That's
That's
a really
ama-
good
that's-
graphic novel.
That was the
Yeah.
so what I
good.
was
There we
thinking.
go.
I need to. Ooh, this
I
is
like
really-
the game, the little beat 'em up game.
yeah,
that's
really
that,
good.
that was taken off the market for like 4 years, and they put it back finally. That's a really fun beat 'em up game that we should use the next time we do like a group
Ooh,
thing.
That's a good point.
Then obviously the book is good, and I love the movie.
Yeah, everybody loves the movie.
What was I thinking? I think it was Sandman.
The Sandman.
The graphic. I haven't read them, but I've always
The
meant
show's
to.
good. The show's
Yeah,
good, and so's the
I-
audiobook. Actually, Audible has like this full voice acted cast recording one.
Oh shit!
that's
I remember
fun.
Mouse. That was one that. Was
Yes,
always-
the one that they were like, we need to take that off out of school.
Yeah.
things like that.
I remember my
V
school.
for Vendetta's. I guess that's a graphic novel. I like the movie.
Right.
Oh, that's
Yeah, I've seen the
interesting. I
movie
didn't realize.
Maybe not so much on the topic of graphic novels, but if we want to look into like an alternative form of like comics, have you guys ever read any like manhwa, or I guess like do people call
Oh
it like,
yeah, or like
webtoons,
manhwa,
stuff
like
that,
Korean
yeah?
comics, or oh yeah.
2 shows, 2 movies. They're both fun.
Yep.
Alright.
I've got like a big old list on my Chrome on this one. I just
Right.
have tabs of different webtoons and like online
The-
comics.
So there's 2 webtoons that I read, just 2. The 2 webtoons I read are Batman Wayne Family Adventures.
Oh shit! I didn't know that was a
Because it's immaculate. It's so good. It's all of the slice of life stuff.
Yes, I
Wait,
know you
Batman?
told me about
Yeah,
that.
it's all the Batman family slice of
my
life shit.
God.
Then there's Red Hood and the Outlaws,
Mhm.
which, Jesus Christ, the art on that. And then there's the Centeno one that I've got bookmarked but haven't read yet. I want to show you the art for Red Hood and the Outlaws really quickly.
Let's see.
I just
What,
want
what are the ones I've been reading? I haven't read it yet, but there's this Ice Massacre one, which is like a siren mermaid
to. Okay, here.
one, which I'm really looking forward to.
That's gonna be not work. 1 second. Let's go
What's this
webtoon.
one? Oh, I forgot I was reading this one. Lesbian Empires.
Look at
It's
this.
basically about lesbian vampires.
Wow.
Everyone is so freaking hot in this one.
Yeah,
Oh, I love that dude's hair.
Are you looking at Bizarro?
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah, so the main three is this Themysciran lady.
Yeah.
I don't remember her name. I think it's Artemis as well, but that feels really confusing. Then there's obviously Red Hood, and then there's Bizarro, and those are the main three characters of it. And it's so good. Like look at the art. Look at the.
It's
We like buff
nice.
women. I'm sorry.
Well, yes, agreed.
Um,
Lesbian Empires.
Funniest thing I'm looking here. So I own this. You see that manga guide? The manga guide to physics there? I physically own those
Really?
books.
Nice.
Huh.
I own a bunch of them. There's a manga guide to databases as well. I should bring them to the school one day.
I bet that's fun.
That's like
They're so
educational
silly.
content right there.
Yeah, but they have like a little story, and the stories are like the most stereotypical archetypal shit. But they teach it through it in a very easy to understand format. Let's see.
What is the actual name of this one? I keep forgetting.
The 10 best.
Isn't Artemis Fowl is more of a Disney, more of a book series, but isn't Heartstoppers a graphic novel?
I think you'd count it as a graphic
I-
novel. Yeah.
Don't know.
It's hard to tell.
I've never
I don't,
watched.
I don't know that one.
because there-
Heartstoppers has a show now. That's the only reason I know about it.
There's so many things like when we look it up, like a lot of these are just kind of like based off of other properties, so it's hard to say.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, this is
I-
a graphic.
I
novel.
do own Runaways. I did read those graphic novels.
Oh, I heard about those. Yeah.
And I do own the Adventure Zone graphic novels,
Ah,
which is their like funny little D&D thing.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Eyeball.
Man, this is I've been reading oh balls, what was the name of it? So I've been reading Mage and Demon Queen manhwa, which is hilarious and adorable lesbian manhwa.
Nice.
There was also that what is this one called? It's the Kung Fu fighting one. It had an anime adaptation not too long ago.
Let's see here. What do we got in here?
Get through. Oh, God of High School. That was the one.
Right, yeah. God of High School is one of those manhwa where it's like it's
That
kind
has
of
an
like
anime, yeah.
the Naruto of manhwa, and Tower of God is like the One Piece of manhwa.
That Tower
where
of
it's,
God.
like,
That's the other one I've been
1
reading.
million chapters long.
It's so long. Although I will say, Tower of God looks like it's still set to go for a while.
Yeah.
God of High School.
One Piece.
It kept feel like it could end any time, but
Right.
it is actually like end game. Like it is
Right,
at
it's like the
end.
climax. Well, Tower of God, like I've heard, like it's still like in the middle stages apparently.
Have any of you guys read the Hellboy comics? They're pretty good.
No, I have heard.
Or the Hellboy graphic novel. The Hellboy one's really fun. And then back a while ago, they did a Humble Bundle did a one on. It's not called Main Desert, guys. But, oh my god, it's one of those settings where it's like real time. It's current times, like contemporary.
Right.
But it has like magic, like a magic underworld type thing.
Right,
oh
right.
yeah, I know that kind of stuff.
There was a TV show based off it too for a single season.
Hmm.
Trying to remember the name of it now.
Another really good webcomic, Girl Genius.
Girl Genius.
Yes.
Oh,
It's
okay.
very, very fun.
Did you guys know that Losers was a comic book before it was a movie?
I did
What
hear
was?
about Losers.
The Losers.
Yeah.
Oh, the Losers. Huh, no, I never heard about it.
Fun movie. I haven't watched. I've read the comic because I watched the movie and the movie was fine. And then see a point. There's Bone.
There's Bone. There he is.
Bones. Let's see what else we got in here. Anything else relevant? I
Goosebumps.
guess on Captain Underpants.
Yeah, Captain Underpants.
I did
we
read
love
those.
him.
I never read those.
I was a child.
Number 3 was the best on that thing.
So
Couldn't tell you.
easiest way for me to figure out what the name of that series that I was thinking of is to do this. So if I go to Arrow and I look up the cast list of Arrow, and then I reference specifically the cop. So if this loads,
This is like when you're finding out the right answer to the math question, but you have to do it in like the most roundabout way possible.
so this guy was in the show for the one I'm thinking of. So now I have to go into his IMDb credits and find what I was thinking of.
Oh my god.
It's going to be a massive one, too.
Ooh, White Collar slaps, but that's not relevant. And I'm watching Leverage right now because I've never seen it before. They just rebooted it.
He was guest number 3 in A Christmas Carol? Holy
Dresden Files. So the Dresden Files are a magic and contemporary times thing. And they are pretty classic from what I've heard. So this is the show.
Is it a graphic novel or a novel?
I think it's an actual set of novels, but I bought the graphic novels for it. But yeah, it's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah.
That's the graphic novel there. There he is. Look at the boy. He's got magic. It's like a magic and contemporary time thing. It's pretty cool. I don't know. I don't know why that is my favorite setting of thing.
I think it makes sense.
But like contemporary add-in thing is so fun to me.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the best of both worlds, right? Like you have like all of like the cool things about like the modern day world, but then you like spice it up with something that's more interesting.
It's too bad we don't have like a good version of that on TV right now. I'm trying to think of like a good version of that. Like we had Grimm,
Right.
and Grimm was kind of okay. We had Lost Girl, which was where she was like a siren and things, and that was kind of okay. Supernatural, yeah. I guess
But
so.
Supernatural is like also one of those shows where like we were talking earlier about how there are shows that feel deliberately planned out
And it is not.
structured. That is like the polar opposite.
Yeah.
Supernatural is like
It felt like it had its thing at the start, but then it just like it kept trying to up and up and up.
yeah. Season 1,
It was
2,
like-
and 3 were like I could see like the plan.
I
here.
saw a video where there was an auction, and somebody auctioned off like it was like a bidding war between the devil and Castiel, I guess. And at one point, somebody like
What?
they were offering up like vague notions as things for the auction. It was so weird. I don't know.
That was in Supernatural?
Yes.
This is what
There's a new
17
reboot of Supernatural coming out with the
Really?
parents.
Oh,
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
interesting.
Which is interesting. I have no idea. I don't have a hard attachment.
Oh, this is reminding me because I was thinking of like magic in contemporary times, and I was like,
Yeah.
Buffy and all that.
Buffy,
but
yeah.
I remembered Angel, and I remember the only episode I ever watched of Angel
love
because
Angel.
somebody told me about it was when he gets turned into a Muppet. It was the funniest
I
goddamn
need you to
thing.
understand that Angel, I think, is actually better than Buffy.
Oh yeah, that's what I heard.
Angel, it's more consistent.
That's fair.
Buffy has probably higher highs and lower lows, whereas Angel's super consistent. Like the season of Buffy where Angel goes off to school and her boyfriend's like a monster murderer sucks. That season is lame. And then the last season is also kind of lame because I think they tried to carry it on with like follow-up stuff. I don't know. Contemporary
Did
Magic's
it end
cool
with like
shit.
an apocalypse or something?
A couple of times probably. And then there's like a school of slayers later on as well,
Okay. Sure.
which
why
doesn't
not?
make sense.
After everything's like, okay, that's weird to
Well,
settle
because
down.
part of it is that Buffy there's only ever one Slayer, and the reason why we get a second Slayer is because Buffy did technically die for a moment, and that's why we have the other Slayer
Okay.
in the show. But it's so weird. I'm just like,
I mean,
what the hell?
it kind of makes sense, like one Slayer for the entire Earth. Like,
I mean, I get it, but it's also, it's magic, so...
I mean, that's the thing though, is like anytime people are just like, this is the one person who can like save us from this. You do realize there's an entire planet. There's absolutely no reason that all the evil should be concentrated just here. They would be spread out all over the world. You should have.
They did specify that Sunnyvale was a hellmouth.
Well, and that's fair. That, to be fair, that's like an actually like good like.
Yeah, it's a pretty reasonable like logic leap to put it in there, where you're like, the reason shitty things happening here is because there's a hellmouth here, which is sort of like not both attracting everything and also releasing things, kind of. So
Yeah.
like everything's collating here for that fucking reason.
Yeah, and that's fair. It's just like
But yeah,
as a general rule, like there's no reason for everything to just be focused in like this one.
Secret
place.
Contemporary Magic is my favorite. It's
Yeah.
actually kind of why I really love the Vampire the Masquerade setting. The World of Darkness as a whole is functionally that exact idea. It's also why one of my favorite seasons of Dimension 20 is The Unsleeping City.
Never seen Dimension 20.
Dimension 20 is my favorite D&D play show.
Oh, okay.
Because it is not a live play, it is a D&D play. So they've
Oh.
actually edited out a lot of they've edited the episodes.
Oh.
They've
Yeah,
got and they tend to alternate between combat episodes and lore episodes, and there's a bit of like lore at the beginning of each combat ones,
So
but
it's very tightly edited.
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah, I
so
guess.
much cleaner, so you don't have to sit there for 4 hours while people look up a rule.
Right.
Yeah, I did. That doesn't come up very often in the ones I watch because mostly it's just like if they don't know, we're just gonna run. With
Yeah,
whatever.
but even so, there's still some dead air and stuff in most live plays.
Yeah, but the one I watch, Unexpectables, there actually isn't usually too much of that, and I just love the goofs that they do in between. But I think I already told you about this one, but one of my favorites that they did was when they did the modern day D&D Magic World.
Yeah.
So it's D&D,
Contemporary magic,
but
like I
it's
said.
contemporary.
It's my favorite.
And they're playing cops, and it was such a fun like setting, and like the mechanics of like driving around, and eventually they get a sentient cop car, so
Nice.
like, they can just like depend on it for the
That's so
driving.
fun. I have a whole new
so much fun.
D&D campaign idea that I plan on pitching to TikTok. I haven't recorded the video yet.
TikTok.
Yeah, just just blurt it out there.
Oh, okay.
So people,
Alright.
because I did one of them there was like, this is your time, this is your sign to do a time loop one. So it was like do like a Majora's Mask-esque one.
Oh yeah, that's a good
where there's
idea.
a city and the players are in the city and
Yeah.
like the moon falls from the sky or like asteroids or whatever.
Yeah, some,
doomsday
there's a
event, yeah.
disaster.
There's
and
an
they need to try and fix
apocalypse,
it.
whatever you
Yeah.
pick arbitrarily, and then like you can have like an old wizard say you
Yeah.
did like, oh, I used a magic spell to pull your consciousness from the moment you died back 7 days into your body, and then
Yeah.
the cool thing is because you got that hard lock time frame, the area of exploration is exceptionally limited.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
You can only ever explore as far as you can get in 7 days because the world ends in 7 days. So and then functionally what you do is you give them the first hint, and as they're exploring, they're slowly unraveling this web of the like what caused the apocalypse,
Yeah.
and then trying to prevent it. And then every 7 days they pull back.
They turn
And the
back,
cool thing
yeah.
is because of the fact that it's this looping time loop campaign, you can kill the players as many times as you want.
Oh shit!
That's
Those
true.
can be
You
brought
can make
back,
the
yeah.
encounters as hard as you want, and you can build the arc out however you want. And if the party goes to somewhere where they shouldn't be, if they skip shit, if they haven't gone the experience to get to that
You
point,
can fuck them up.
you
Yeah,
can fuck
yeah,
them up
yeah.
without feeling bad.
But then at the same time, they also know like, oh yeah, shit, yeah, I can just level up and like come back later when I'm stronger, right?
yeah,
these-
they could go somewhere, they could catch a hint of something, they can go somewhere, die, pull back. And the other thing is,
Yeah,
because
right.
it's all in this one centralized location, once you've built this like intrigue web type thing, and function you want to build it in like 7-day arcs or whatever, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Once you've built this intrigue web, the
Any
part,
of you guys got tissues? I'm getting a bit of a nosebleed here.
I do.
a nosebleed, Jesus.
Yeah.
I
Go-
have
go
to
deal
hit,
with
I
that.
hit the
Go do
bathroom
that.
over there.
Yeah, go deal with that.
Yeah, a little
my
dry
brother
out
gets
there, eh?
nosebleeds from dry air, so I get
Yeah.
that. But yeah, sorry. What I was saying is, because it's a 7-day time loop, you only have the one city to focus on. So
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can get
yeah.
really in depth with it.
It does sound.
And then the party will have to reintroduce themselves to characters a few times
yeah.
as well, right?
No, that sounds like a hilariously fun idea.
Yeah.
Well, I would love to play a campaign like that.
Yeah, and then my second idea that I've had. So obviously, right now I've played a homebrew setting. I've played in Ravnica, the MTG world. I've played in Runeterra. That's my current one. And then my other setting that I wanted to do, or my other campaign, was the time loop one, which I thought would be really cool.
Yeah.
And then my new one that I want to do is an Are We the Baddies campaign.
Ah. fun.
So
I'm gonna reset the page. It's been
it's frozen. Yeah.
frozen. Yeah.
Hopefully the stream's still
It's
on.
been frozen for a bit, actually.
Yeah. So in the Are We the Baddies one, you don't tell the players
Yeah.
that they're the baddies.
Yes.
You start off the campaign pretty basically. They work for don't say empire because that's a little too obvious, but call it like the Imperium of whatever.
yeah.
Call it the Order.
Try and make them work for it.
Yeah, and then functionally, the cool thing about it is you spend the first 5 levels, 3 levels, whatever, doing some basic like training stuff. Like maybe they're at like a military school, for example, and you have them. You introduce the teachers. You introduce the classmates.
Yeah.
You introduce maybe like a government official from like another faction or something like that. So you introduce all these characters, and they're all fairly like, some of them might be a little bit of like a stick in the mud or a bit of an ass,
Yeah.
but they're all reasonably nice,
Yeah, for sure.
right? They're all
Back.
Oh, yeah.
Piece of paper. in my
Yeah.
face.
Did you
So-
bring some extra?
Yeah, I got some.
We're
Okay,
talking
yeah.
about my next campaign that I was thinking of doing, which was after the time loop one. I want to do an Are We the Baddies campaign.
Are we the back? Oh, I know.
So
yeah.
like the first 5 episodes, 5 arcs functionally, the 10, 15 sessions, whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Probably 10. You don't want it to be too long, maybe 5 sessions,
Yeah.
whatever. The first 5 levels, before they really get to hero status, they literally work for the bad guys.
Oh, they work for the bad.
So like you got some training stuff, you've got some basic like law enforcement type shit.
Yeah.
And maybe you do some trickling of throughout that part where it's like, this feels kind of like a dick move, right? Like
Yeah.
maybe they have to go like, one of their first missions is to go like arrest a guy, right? And then like you slowly drop these tidbits that maybe things aren't quite as good as they seem, and then on like session 5 or when they hit level 5 type thing, that's when you drop the big change in the dynamic. You have them like murder. They're like, hey, this city of people, there's a rebellion there. We want you to go there
Just
and
genocide the entire
just
place.
kill a town.
Holy
They
shit.
send you there and they're just like, yeah, this city here is planning to do a rebellion. They want to stir up trouble. They want to kill thousands of innocents or whatever. And you spin it like as how a military propaganda would tell their party to go. You put them there, and it's just like
Everyone's just
normal
chill.
people.
Yeah,
It's just
they're just walking
normal
around.
people there who are like trying to live their fucking lives
Yeah.
and trying to get out of like the imperial rule.
You know, it's like you're saying this, and I'm like, if I'm playing in that campaign, I would absolutely have to play a Adora
Yeah.
character, and,
No,
and I would have a best friend who I have to leave
Yeah,
behind.
Adora is
That
absolutely.
is the Tamor.
Adora starts off as an "Are we the baddies?" thing.
Absolutely.
For sure. Which is part of the thing, and that's the idea. Is like I took some of that inspiration of Katra still sticking around, right? Because
Yeah.
like as much as the party, this one like a group of 5 or whatever,
Yeah,
well, 4 or 5 leaves and switches sides. That doesn't mean everyone is going to.
No, absolutely.
And it doesn't mean that everyone who doesn't switch sides is necessarily evil. And that's something that after the
Yeah.
party has spent 10 sessions with these as their allies and friends.
It's
and
gonna
stuff,
be
it's
a
like,
real hard.
yeah, so like, oh, you know, later on, at level 10, when, you know, maybe your reluctant teacher has switched sides and joined you guys.
Yeah.
And he's like, or maybe like a bad guy, someone who, or maybe someone like on the bad guy side who you beat before is actually like a good guy or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But around like level 10, that's when you start like pulling in these like NPCs and shit like that
Yeah.
stuck around, and you like have that capture bullshit.
And
And
you
like,
have it
just
end up
imagine
killing.
like you're playing in D&D and all of the enemy generals were people you thought were your fucking friends.
Yeah.
Just imagine that, like, because like in most D&D campaigns, your friendly NPCs are a little more memorable than the villains.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Even when somebody does a decent job with the villains, you're like, cool villains, yada yada yada.
They just kill them, right? They call out counters.
They die. Like you meet them once, you kill them, they're gone. But if these people show up as your friends first, your classmates, and you have like
Yeah.
this actual little like slice of life sort of thing for the first few
And then
episodes,
there's like a betrayal, you
like,
know, like that.
maybe you do like 1 to 3 is literally just
Yeah.
like school. You
Yeah,
learn. You get fed propaganda.
Yeah, you
get-
go through the training and things
Yeah,
like
you
that.
go through the training, you do some like sparring with other classmates. Maybe one of the characters is a dickhead. Sure, why not? Some people are gonna be able to be more
Well, some of the people in the group are going to be as bad as you think they might be.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe you leverage that, and like maybe there's a Draco Malfoy ass motherfucker, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And you leverage that, and then
But then maybe there's like another one you have to fight, and it's like, oh shit, like dude, you're brainwashed. You're like a
Yeah.
good guy, but you're
yeah,
brainwashed.
then you get like you know some of the people are good.
Scorpion.
And then you go to like session 4, or like level 4 part, or 3 to 4 type there, or that area, right? Where you're like, okay, here's your first like overtly kind of sketchy moment,
Right.
Where it's like, hey, go arrest this guy, and then like you do pick him up, and it's like your first official like
Yeah.
test,
Right.
Just
and
trying
then after that test goes off successfully, because realistically, unless it's too overt, they're gonna follow through on it, right?
Yeah.
And then you do the session 5, the level 5 one, where then you drop them with the fucking like the heinous war crime type bullshit,
Yeah.
and then you have them
Oh,
switch
shit.
sides, and then you spend the next
Oh.
like 5-10 levels worth of campaign fucking just dropping in tidbits of different characters that they've met throughout their academy. You just drop them in, you have them all like different roles in the plot, like maybe one is like still with the academy and still kind of evil but reluctant about it, and so on
Yeah,
and so forth.
yeah.
Like there's one character you can talk to, and there's like maybe one character who just like overtly is like against you now because
Yeah.
you fucking betrayed them, like Catra kind of was at first,
Yeah.
and then you just like tidbit all
Which
that
makes
shit
sense
in.
because I mean, technically, in that situation, you are the traitors. So
Yeah, you just leverage the Are We the Baddies campaign to its full extent, because I feel like that's a fun D&D thing. That's
There's,
like
there's a lot of potential, especially the way you have it set up, you know?
because like I mean, started in a tavern, work for an adventurers guild. That shit's been done,
right.
Right.
and it's not bad. It's classics for a reason.
Yeah.
But like, Are We the Baddies? A time loop? Those things are kind of like
More experimental.
you've seen them before. They're not brand new ideas.
yeah,
But in the D&D
but
setting,
to
it's like,
play
yeah.
them, like actually be
Yeah.
the person in them. Yeah.
Which I think is really fun. obviously each one has their own benefits. The Are We the Baddies one is probably more of like a narrative thing.
Oh, for sure.
For sure. And then the time loop one is like
More
you can make
mechanically
it fucking
interesting.
hard ass encounters
yeah.
and shit.
I mean, still narrative because you kind of need a
Oh,
narrative.
for sure.
To, like,
Right,
I just mean
carry
like
that.
the biggest benefit of the time loop is like you can put whatever the fuck you want
Yeah.
in front of the party. Yeah, and then the nice thing is you have 7 days, so you plan what is happening on those 7 days everywhere in the city.
Like, yeah, you know, going in, you don't have to like improvise anything. Like, you know, everything's set up this way.
I think
right?
that one had to have the most insane amount of prep I've ever seen
Pretty
in my
much,
life
yeah.
because you basically have to map out everything that everyone did in a 7-day period functionally.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you can make up a little bit more, but you could be like separate the town into districts functionally,
Right.
and like each district you remember what happened in those spots.
Yeah.
And then obviously, like as people interact with random strangers on the street, you can add them in to the plot post.
Post
Yeah.
that.
It's
Because
like
the party
we know-
doesn't know that they were there before, right, or whatever, right?
And you already have like a structure to do for all like the smaller NPCs. Like you can just create like a schedule. So like day 1, he does his job. Day 2,
Yeah.
he goes out of town.
The shopkeeper leaves on Saturday and Sunday
Yeah.
because he's not in the office. You gotta go to his home. In the evenings, he's not there, and you just like you make like this list and like a little basic 7-day schedule for your person.
When's a good day to break in and check things out? This day. Okay.
Yeah, the party's like, I don't know. I think that's really fun.
Wait, how much crimes can we do in 7 days? Let's go.
Just make sure to make it like Majora's Mask, where you can rig the lottery by traveling back in time.
My favorite thing, one of the things that was also part of it was like the idea that you can also give your party magic items you never would.
That's true. Yeah.
Because if the world is going to be set in 7 days, you can give them the most fuck-busted magic items you've ever seen in your life.
Pretty
they,
much,
They
yeah.
lose it. The logic I had was that if they're attuned to a magic item, they get like magical essence that the wizard can then like coalesce into something of like half the value of the other thing.
Right.
So like as it scales up, sure they'll get more, but like you can give them a legendary item and it pulls to a very rare, right? And you give them a very rare and it pulls to a rare later on after the
Yeah,
time
gotcha.
drop.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting that you can leverage. It's like a campaign with retcons that's built into the narrative.
Yeah, there's a lot more potential to like just kind of go crazy and do something that would
Yeah.
normally be out of the question.
You can drop fucking a Tarrasque in the city if you want. You can make the Tarrasque your apocalypse if you really want.
True.
Absolutely. I think it's a fun enough idea, and then Are the Baddest and stuff like.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I do. My third one now is I really want to do a modern day one.
Yeah.
I think it'd be
Modern day?
fun.
It's a fun
Yeah, that
stuff.
sounds good.
Modern day.
Just contemporary fantasy is so cool. I love it so much. Except for when they did it in Bright, because Bright sucks.
Bright is a Will Smith movie that exists.
It's not good.
Okay.
It was sad 'cause I was like, yeah, I want this kind of movie, and it was like,
Not this version of it though. So
No.
like this, but better, please.
Yeah.
Like this, but not this.
Yeah.
yeah.
Less bad, please and thank you. Don't make parallels you aren't able to do well.
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of things to do that where it's like, I'm gonna write this story with this deep message, and it's like, yo, okay, but are you actually prepared to make the message deep?
Are you good?
Like it's like
Can
it's
you
like one of
do
those
it?
things where it's like, yeah, I acknowledge that racism exists. My movie has a deep message. And it's like,
Yeah.
No, that's not deep.
It's not that simple, man.
Yeah, that's not what we mean by deep.
That's not. You gotta put in more effort.
Okay, we got completely sidetracked because we talked contemporary fantasy,
So
and I wanted to talk TV.
so much stuff to talk about.
Alright, we calling it now here?
Yeah, I think we're calling here. I need to buy that rice cooker, man.
Okay,
Oh, fair
let's
enough.
call it here. With that, we will see you later stream.
All
Hey
right.
guys.
Bye.